Oh, shit, I need to line up the boxes better. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. How are you? It's the Sometimescast, episode 5. The literal first thing I say is, oh no, this looks like shit. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome in. If you are from Not Your Muse's community, welcome on in. My name is Will. I play games sometimes. You know Jess. For people from my community that don't know Jess, this is Jess Bebenek, aka Not Your Muse. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm coming in. I'm saying that as if you're in a physical space with me, which you're not, because it's fucking
We're
a pandemic.
in the studio.
Yeah, we're in the studio. We're in the same room. I'm just encased in this fucking green screen. How's it going?
Just like keeping you in a cage in my corner.
I mean, listen, sometimes I might
My
deserve
little Twitch monkey.
Yeah, I've been called that before, and you know what? I've been called worse, so I'll take it. But how are you?
I'm good. I was like out in the garden today.
Ooh, you love to see
just chilling.
You love to see it. Nice. I'm gonna bump you up a teensy.
I really want to actually stream in my garden. Like stream outside.
Okay. Word. Do you have either A, a good enough Wi-Fi connection, or B, enough data to actually do that?
A, absolutely not.
Well,
for some reason my Wi-Fi stops directly at like the wall of my house.
Oh,
like,
shit.
do I live in a tank? I don't understand. But I do have a stupid ass ton of data because I live in Quebec, and apparently data, like the only thing that is better in Quebec, data.
There you go. There you fucking go. Elizabeth, thank you so much for the 100 bits. You beautiful, beautiful creature. I forgot to turn off that notification. But it's fine. It's fine. Well, we'll do it live, whatever.
What is it? What's playing? Is it a spooky, scary skeleton?
No, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. I need to turn
Hello, Liz.
that off. Thank you so much again, though, Liz. You beautiful, beautiful human. Anyway, yes, welcome into the Sometimescast, episode 5. We are here with Jess, aka Not Your Muse, talking about books, talking about publishing, talking about all types of shit. I'm really fucking excited for this because it is how long have we known each other? Like a little bit over 5 years, I feel like, ish, roughly.
No, more, because it was back when I lived in
in fucking
Toronto, and I lived in Montreal for like 5.5 years.
Shit, right? Yeah. Man, time's weird. Time is weird. Okay.
Yeah, I think we've probably known each other like 8 years.
That's fucking nuts to think. Yeah, because I think we met. I think we met more or less pretty quickly into when I started to be like in the publishing scene. That's really crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, you and your former partner just like got right into it.
Like, yeah, right.
You guys were all over the place.
Because we were like, well, we went to school for this, and
yes, you were.
we went to school for this, and there's no jobs. So what if we just made our own jobs, basically, kind of, and then made no money from it?
That's how I've always done it.
So it was a job in the sense that I did it, but I didn't make money from it. To be fair, it made enough money that we were able to get back our printing costs. But we were never able to make it anything more than just, oh god, do we have enough money for the next season of fucking chapbooks? Yes? Okay, we're good. Like, that's it. Fuck, it has been that long.
I'm one of the only people that I know of that has actually like made money off of the books that I make, and when I had my micropress in Toronto.
Right.
Because I did everything myself.
Yeah, right. And that was a big thing, is we did everything but printing ourselves, but printing's fucking expensive. Printing is really expensive. Yeah, I guess it has been that fucking long. That's crazy. That's amazing. But yeah, before we get into it for real, I just want to do a land acknowledgement. So, let's do that. I will wish to acknowledge this land on which the Sometimescast and I stream, which is Toronto. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. I acknowledge that I live, collaborate, and work on stolen land, and I am grateful to have the opportunity to work, stream, and collaborate on this land. With this knowledge, as well as this privilege, I will strive every fucking day to do and be better. So that is that. Let's just get that out of the way. Because, yeah,
Same
listen.
here.
And we're on stolen land.
Say I'm living on, yeah. Same here, so, why did it just fall out of my head? Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. And it's the land of the Kanien'kehá:ka, or the Mohawk people. And it's also stolen.
Goddamn
FYI.
right. Guess what? Every single person essentially lives on stolen land. And the least you can do is acknowledge that. But yeah, we have known each other for a long fucking time.
I mean, I think it's important to acknowledge as well that there are treaties, though.
Yes, 1000%.
So like while they haven't been upheld very well, but I know like my last partner was and still is Indigenous.
That's generally how your race works. Yeah. Well,
actually,
generally speaking, you start off as the thing you are and then continue being that. Generally.
Continue to be. And no, he was just saying that, like, well, actually, like, not all land is stolen. Like, don't just automatically think you're on stolen land.
Yeah, fair point. That is a very, very, very good point. But in our case, we are definitely on stolen land.
We are.
But yeah,
yep.
Yeah. So the way today is going to work. First off, if you are in here and you're like, why am I not hearing notifications? For podcast, we generally turn those off just to not interrupt the flow of the conversation. We will be acknowledging and interacting with chat. It just might be a little bit less than we normally do. Just again, because we're on a podcast. What else?
Sorry, I'm laughing because I saw someone was like, "Hey, gays."
Which fucking perfect. I am
what
here
up,
for that energy.
Fellow gays.
I am here for that energy. That's like Steve Buscemi, except with gays.
So good.
Hello, my fellow teens, except hello, my fellow gays. Nailed it. Yeah, but the schedule.
Me rolling into the gay club.
Yep. Hello, fellow gays. That's how it works. I've been told, but no, I've done it before.
I was thinking about that. Like, I don't really miss going out or anything, but I do miss like queer culture. But I also think I've forgotten how to interact with people. So.
Yeah, I agree. So the schedule is going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been reading and kind of what we've been playing, if we've been playing any games. We're going to talk a little bit about news. There's not much news because, I don't know, there's not much news. And then we're going to kind of just break down what got you into publishing, what got you into writing. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of our overlapping experiences with them because fucking A, we've known each other for 8 years and been in this community and industry for that fucking long, which is nuts to think about. And then we're just going to talk a little bit about kind of like Twitch and why you started streaming, your plans for streaming, community, stuff like that. It's gonna be fun shit. But let's start it off, my friend, with what you have been reading.
Who, me?
Who, you? Yes, you. And then I'll talk about what I've been reading.
Well, lately I've been really on my witch shit now that it's oh yeah, for anyone who's new, I'm a witch.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And I think in the winter I go a bit dormant with that stuff because it is just like harder to connect with like the cycles of the world. Like I'm just kind of hibernating, which is obviously like a part of the cycle. But I just get more excited about it in the spring. Things start to come up.
I think just general life, it's very easy to get not depressed. It is easy to get depressed in the winter, but it's very easy to lose momentum in the winter when you just look outside and you're like, yep, it's just fucking gray. It's gray and cold every day. And on top of that,
yep, same.
And on top of that, you can't go anywhere anyway because it's a fucking global pandemic and everything's locked down. So you're like, well, I double can't go out. But yeah, being on that witchy shit. I mean, fair enough.
So I am reading this super good book.
Ooh.
A Spell in the Wild.
Okay.
By Alice Tarbuck. Yeah.
That
and
name
it was recommended to me by Sabrina Scott, who's a witch who I really admire and agree with. Like, they talk a lot about, well, both Sabrina and Alice Tarbuck are like talk a lot about seeing nature within the city, or like seeing like the natural world not as divorced from us. And of course, like, literally all things come from nature. Like, plastic comes from nature.
It's true.
Like, asphalt comes from nature. You know, like, you are never disconnected from nature.
You are literally nature.
It seems like I only just started it. Yep. I only just started it, but it seems like it's going to be a lot about like being a witch in the city.
Oh, okay.
It's really well written, and I really agree with like a lot of the way she goes about talking about witchcraft. So, would recommend.
That sounds interesting. Neato. So there's your. Is it nonfiction? Is it essays? Is it?
It's nonfiction, yeah.
Cool. Okay. I feel you. What else do you got?
It's essay. Yeah, it's basically essays.
Okay. Cool. What else you got on the fucking
docket?
Then
I'm rereading this one.
Oh shit. Okay, that's
Medicine
cool.
Women, classic text. Yeah, all about the history of women in medicine, and like women, how women are traditionally healers rather than like male doctors. That's a good one. And then I've been reading some poetry always. So this is what I'm reading right now.
Oh, I've meant to check that out.
Province by Michael Pryor.
I've meant to check that out. Is that
He's a friend from Toronto.
Was that Palimpsest that published that?
No, it's this is McClellan and Stewart.
Oh shit! Right. He was with Palimpsest before, and now this is okay.
No, he was with Signal.
Oh fuck yeah! Sorry, Signal.
His first book was with Signal.
It's all fucking. You get out of practice and you don't remember who the fuck people get published with. But nice. Okay. M&S. Word.
No, I know. Someone asked me recently, like, where should I publish this with? I'm like, I do not. I used to be the person to ask. I am no longer.
Yeah, right. Also, like,
I have just walked away from the world.
just fucking send it to everybody and hope for the best. That's what I say at this point.
Yep.
Like, yeah, who knows? So we got Michael Pryor, Word, and then what was the other book?
And Yusuf Sadi. Pluviophile, which was just nominated for the Griffin, which is so fucking cool because we were in my undergrad creative writing class together. And I was
that
is
super
what the
neat.
fuck? Like, this is like the biggest poetry prize in Canada.
It's
his first book, and
it's awesome super fucking rad when you see people whom you worked with, collaborated with, that you know, and you know they're fucking good writers, and they finally get some recognition. Which we'll talk about you in a second, because I mean you got some as well. But yeah, it's really fun. Like, I think both you and I share a certain level of like disillusionment with Canadian publishing. We love books, we love writing, we love reading. The publishing side of it sometimes is a little bit much, but I will say it is the thing I love most about being in publishing and being involved in the community is finally seeing people whom you know are fucking incredible writers finally get finally get the deserve or the recognition they deserve. Like, it sucks sometimes when it maybe takes a little bit too long, or you feel like it takes a little bit too long. But like when it finally happens, you're like, fuck yeah, everybody finally gets it. Like, everybody finally sees what I saw. Is that this person's fucking amazing. Yeah, that shit's really cool.
My dad said the sweetest thing when I was nominated for this award that we're kind of nosing around. And he was like, well, I know, like, you always believed in you, so I always believed in you. But
that's
now
very
everyone
sweet.
believes in you.
Oh, that's super sweet.
That's
really adorable. Good dads are hard to find, but when you find them, they're pretty great. That's adorable. That's really cute. Speaking, I'm gonna move into the books I've been reading. Speaking of people whom I'm so fucking glad.
Wait, one more.
Oh shit! Sorry. Radical.
I found this in a free library.
Oh, is that Tom Wolfe?
Look at that amazing picture.
Fucking Radical.
It is Tom Wolfe.
Okay.
It's actually two.
Okay.
So Radical Chic is the first one I'm reading it.
Right.
It's like a bunch of like Park Avenue, like socialites hosting like a rally in their living room for the Black Panthers. It's really fucking funny.
That's
like it's very satirical.
Amazing. That's
and all of like the
good.
anxieties and things that are going on. It feels very relatable to what's going on right now.
I like it.
With like the trendiness of like Black Lives Matter and things.
That's also maybe one of the best fucking covers I've ever seen for a book.
Oh, it's so good.
You'll have to see it. So speaking of people whom I'm so glad have some fucking recognition finally, I'm rereading Pot by Samina Banu. This was from Coach House in 2019, 2020. Let me double check. It came out fucking 2020, I think. Yeah, 2020. Okay, cool.
I missed this. Again, I have just not been participating in the world, so I've missed a lot of books that came out.
It's fucking amazing. I also, so full disclosure, my partner and I, my ex and I, when we were running a micropress, we published Samina. I think she was. I think they were maybe in our first season of books that we published. We ran a workshop, and Samina attended, and Samina went to like the creative writing program at Windsor, and it was fucking amazing because there was all these Windsor kids who would literally drive in from Windsor to Toronto on a fucking bi-weekly basis to come watch to participate in the workshop, and it was fucking amazing. It was so cool. And then I was like, holy fuck, Samina, you're a fucking incredible writer. Like, holy shit. And so then I was like, listen, like, we're publishing chapbooks. Please fucking submit it. Submit your work. Samina did, and we were like, this is fucking incredible. I cannot wait until people realize how good Samina is. And then, I mean, Coach House did. It's fucking incredible. Essentially, it's the retelling of a breakup through like one, poems, but also like a lot of pop culture references and just like Samina seeing their breakup through the lens of pop culture and just like this incredible way with words and onomatopoeia and just it's so fucking good. I love it so much. So I've been rereading that because it's fucking great. I've also been rereading, weirdly enough, another book from Coach House, but Broom Broom by Brecken Hancock, which is, I think, maybe my favorite book of poetry in the last, like, this might be a bit much, but maybe the last, like, 25 years. I fucking love it.
Holy shit.
So this came out, when did this come out? This came out 2014. So this came out, like, within a year or two of me getting into the scene and getting into the fucking culture and the community. And I always like.
I remember my undergrad prof recommending it to me.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So that's essentially when I read it, is because I was at the York undergrad, and it came out just as I graduated. Yeah, that makes sense. So my third year is when I started the micropress. It came out in my fourth year of university. So I was like just into the scene, and I had been exposed to poetry. I knew of poetry, obviously, but like honestly, straight up, through university was kind of when I was exposed to Canadian poetry. And then I was like, oh shit. And this just fucking blew me away that somebody could command language like that. It was fucking incredible. And I think the other thing too is I have a this is going to sound weird, but I have a problem with poetry that is very much about the artifice of like construction of poetry. I'm just like, you just sound like a pretentious asshole, and I hate that shit.
Oh no, because I feel like I do that, or I used to do it more.
So that's the thing is I've never.
So I'm surprised you like my writing.
That's the thing is I've never felt like you have. I felt like you have. One of the things I greatly admire about you as a writer is you know how to take. Yeah, the cover of Broom Broom is fucking incredible. By the way, Eliza Bott, you're not wrong. Look at this shit. It's so good.
Super good.
It's a great cover.
Wait, I want to get mine too.
Yeah, do it. But the thing that I love about, I'll wait until Jess is back because I mean I'm complimenting her.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Nice. So the thing that I love about, oh right, you have fucking wireless headphones, right? The thing that I love about you and the thing that I love about your writing is it never comes off like there is definitely construction, right? Like there is obvious attention to literary techniques and craft and all that stuff, right? But it never feels like you are constructing a poem to be like, look at me, I fucking went to undergrad and I fucking studied fucking poetry. Like that's never come off to me like that.
Yeah.
It has always come off like, listen.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I have
Chris, my partner, he's a painter, and he says like he calls things painterly sometimes, and so I think of it as being like writerly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when they're like, "Oh, they're a writer's writer," and I'm like, I don't really.
Yeah, in the same way that when people say,
like my
when the same way people say, fucking, oh, he's a comics comic, he's a comedian's comedian. I'm like, shut the fuck up. That shit is so. It's just so fucking pretentious and like listen, I it's not that I'm against fucking like construction and craft. That's not the case. But when I feel like you are getting in the way of what you're trying to say by focusing so much on the craft, that just loses me. Like I don't fucking give a shit. I really don't care. That's the thing. It's never come off like that
Liz,
to me.
My best oldest friend, Liz, is here, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I've ever actually told you this, Liz, but one of my like touchstones for myself as a writer is that I want to like make sure Liz can understand my writing.
Totally.
Because Liz is someone who's not a writer, but has always been so supportive and wants to hear everything that I write. So sometimes I think if I'm being too like cyclical or whatever,
totally.
I'm like, okay, like will Liz enjoy this?
Exactly. And like I think for me too, that also comes
not like I'm dumbing down something like that, but like I want to be accessible.
Exactly. And I think for me personally,
like, I want people to understand what I'm saying.
Exactly. And that especially comes for me, that especially comes from a place of like I started with spoken word and like not, and they have fucking their craft is incredible, but their craft is different. Their craft is
it's more sound based.
Yeah, exactly. And it's more based on I'm going to be performing this in front of people, so I need to construct it accordingly. And the thing is, like, you know what the fuck they're saying, and you know what they're trying to say, and you know every single part, every single second of this piece, it is constructed with the intent to get something across to somebody. And for me, like if you lose that on the page, it just becomes a little bit of its own ass, I feel like. And like that's the thing is with your writing, you take some really vulnerable shit and you say things that are like I think a lot of people wouldn't. And you don't just go, "Hey, this happened." And then people read it in 5 seconds and go, "Well, okay. That's just like a literal observation." And I'm like, "Okay, well I didn't glean anything from that. I didn't take anything from it."
Yeah, and that's where the craft is
Exactly.
lacking. Like I think what I need to do, and actually what they brought up in that description of like the jury citation or whatever for that award, the Bronwen Wallace Award, is they noted that like it's I don't remember exactly how they said it, but like these poems like take suffering and turn it into like an aesthetic piece of art.
Right.
That's a big compliment for me, because that is hard. What I try to do. Right? There's some poets who it is hard. I work really hard on it.
Yeah, it shows.
And it's hard to say like, yeah, I do work hard. I work really hard, because it's like, ugh, is it work? But like,
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
But yeah, for example, and this is not to shit on anyone at all, but no. I was at the virtual latest Coach House launch, which was, there were two launching, one of which was Because the Sun by Sarah Burgoyne, and Exhibitionist by, I can't remember her name.
Oh shit, I can look that up while you're telling the story.
A poet.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And what I found with the two books was that like Exhibitionist was super vulnerable, obviously, but it didn't have as much craft as I would like. And then
right.
Because the Sun was kind of like opaque.
Yes, I see what you mean.
In like how much craft it used.
There's just so
I was like, I want something in between. In between, these two.
Totally. Exhibitionist is Molly Cross Blanchard. Yeah, it's the thing. I find I feel the exact same way. Is when I am like, your attention to craft is getting to the point that it is actively taking me, the reader, out of the piece. That's where I think it just like it doesn't work. It's just it doesn't. There's something to be said about like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with being okay, how do I put this? To me, there's something wrong with being inaccessible. There's nothing wrong with being challenging. And those are two very different things. Those are two very, very, very different things. And you can challenge people, and you can make them go, oh shit, what does this reference mean? Like, what is this a reference to, you know? Or okay, they use this literary device, this literary technique. I'm not exactly familiar with it. Let's look it up. Because then you're fucking teaching somebody. Like, that's great. Yeah. But when...
Yeah, I'm a fan of, like, endnotes.
Yes, that's just great. Books. That's just great. Like, that's just amazing.
And I actually use, in my manuscript that I'm working on right now, I just fully take lines from... Actually, I think most of the lines that I use are from, like, folk punk songs. That's some of my greatest teachers have been folk punk musicians.
I think that's like another Kimia cool Dawson,
thing, too. Fort Erie.
Oh,
they are just like...
Fort Erie is
the...
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Holy that... Fucking, what's the name of the album? The Crow one.
A Crow Flew By?
Something close to that. It's that album. Holy... I only listened to that for the first time, like, a month ago. Jesus fucking Christ. That destroyed me. That destroyed me.
Yeah, when I listen to it, I just have to sit there and listen to it. So it's an album about his wife dying.
Yeah, his wife had
really fucking intense.
I want to say cervical cancer, I think.
I don't know exactly,
but yeah, his wife had cancer. She passed away within like a couple of months, and they also had a 1-year-old daughter at the time. So it's exactly as sad as it sounds. It would be like it is. Holy fuck, yeah, that album.
I mean, I'm writing a book about death and grief, and I think that album is my greatest teacher as to how to write effectively. Like we were saying, how to turn your suffering into a piece of art, which is like, I want to say enjoyable, not enjoyable as in like, wee, haha, fun time, but like food for the soul.
Yeah, and it's also
something which can nourish other people.
The other thing too, it's like it is catharsis for everybody involved, you know, and I think that a lot of people can sometimes be like, oh, this just feels like catharsis for the writer, and fuck that. That just feels like fucking wanking off. And I'm like, you know what? Honestly, if this is what people need to do to work through a thing, let them fucking have catharsis. Like, it's okay, you know?
Yeah. But I think that's where craft comes in. Like,
exactly.
I was just listening to a super good conversation between Ariana Reigns and Joanna Hedfa, who are two fucking amazing writers. And they were talking about the importance of craft. And I don't know if they said it or if I was thinking it or a combo of the two. But it led me to this thought that, like, writing can be very cathartic for the writer, but the way you make it cathartic for the reader is through craft.
Yes, 1000%.
To make it legible to someone else.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yes, that is exactly it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Broom Broom is, so Broom Broom is it's a book about the speaker's mother, mostly, who has a lot of mental issues, a lot of mental health problems, and it adversely affected the relationship with the speaker. And that's the thing, is the reason I love this so much is it takes something that it should be impenetrable, should be absolutely like gut wrenching to the point that you cannot speak about it, right? But what I love so much is Brecken does, and she does that through craft, and she doesn't just go, hey guys, or sorry, the speaker doesn't go, hey guys, my mom was shitty. Doesn't that fucking suck? Like, that's too easy, you know? She says that with fucking incredible craft and rhythm and cadence, and it's so fucking good. It's so good. There's a reason it's one of my favorite books.
And like adding in those elements of craft actually does so much of the emotional work.
Exactly.
Like the elements of craft that you put into a poem, I think, is like the equivalent of why music can be so affecting to people, right? Like if you just read lyrics to a song, they're often not as powerful as the music.
Yeah.
Altogether.
And yeah, I think the other thing that I like about Broom Broom too is it knows when, and this is another reason why I'm talking about this so much, is I also like when poems and poetry and just writing in general knows that sometimes you don't need to make words fancy for them to be effective. Like you like
yeah.
Perfect example. We were just talking about what's his face? Fucking Crowboy. Like Crowboy.
Fort Erie.
Fort Erie, yeah. Like
Little
Crowboy. The thing that there's one line that he says in one of the songs that is just, you have been dead for 11 days. You don't need to say anything more than that. Like, just that literal sentence, you don't need to dress that up in any way to affect the listener / I guess in a case of poetry, a reader, any more than that. Like, if you just full stop say, you have been dead 11 days, I'm like, that fucking breaks me in such a beautiful, haunting, like, horrible way that you don't need to do it any other way. And that's what I like about this book, is she knows when to go, here's a buttload of references and literary fucking techniques, but here's just like a really simple, stark line that doesn't need to be anything other than that. And it's fucking amazing. It's so good. That's also what I love about your writing. Like, you know how to balance that so well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that is totally something that I like to read and like to write.
Yeah, because like it's hard to work through, and sometimes working through that is working through technique and craft, and sometimes working through it is just saying very fucking plainly exactly what you feel. Like, yeah, Then I've also been.
Sometimes
go ahead.
like it doesn't need to. I mean, even saying something plainly is a craft, like a choice.
It's a choice, yeah,
exactly. A craft choice.
Exactly. And then I've been rereading this fucking book, Trace by Jeff Ho, which is a play, which is I do not read many plays, but I had him for Pivot way back in December of 2019 before everything fucking shut down and we couldn't run it in person anymore. So it's a book, it's a play in which it explores a Chinese family's history. But the thing I love about it is a cast of mostly femme identifying Chinese immigrants and then a male character, but Jeff Ho, the playwright slash actor slash pianist, by the way, plays every single fucking part. So it's a one-man show in which Jeff is playing his entire, or well, I'm going to say it's probably based off of his real life, but based, like, he is playing every single cast member and also plays piano in it. And it's fucking incredible. It's super cool. I saw him perform a little bit of it, and then I was like, right, I bought this book. I should really read it. I'm probably like a third of the way through, and it's great. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool that somebody did that. I think if you understood piano, you would probably appreciate it better than I do, but like even so, it's really fucking cool. Yeah, and then last book. Two last books. I don't have it on me. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I finished that a couple weeks ago.
God.
That is one of the greatest books of nonfiction I've ever read. Holy fuck, that's a good book. If you don't know what that is, it is a memoir by Carmen Maria Machado. I will type her name in the chat. Carmen Maria Machado. It's a memoir about Carmen Maria Machado's experience in an abusive relationship, but specifically it is her experience in a queer abusive relationship, which her whole thing is that she's trying to posit that, like, listen, queer experience is not like flowers and fucking rainbows sometimes. Like, we have to acknowledge abuse, and we have to acknowledge that not only to acknowledge this relationship that happened and talk about abuse, but like to also fucking humanize queer people. Like it's not puppies and rainbows all the time, and I greatly appreciate that she did that.
Just because we don't want queer people to be villains all the time, like queer-coded villains, doesn't mean we're the good guys either.
And that's the other thing too. That's something she touches on in the book. Is she has a specific passage about like the Disney vilification of queer characters and how it's just like absurdly fucking cartoon. And it's like, okay, but, like, you know, people can be bad, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're fucking Disney villains. And also, I'll say too, like she paints the relationship as human, and she paints this ex also as human, and like there were moments of tenderness, and she also is like, you know, sometimes
that's the hardest thing to speak about in an abusive relationship.
1000%. And she also says, like, you know, sometimes I was also a fucking piece of shit. Like, that doesn't excuse the abuse, but you know, like I wasn't perfect either. And it's her writing is just, she knows how to turn a fucking phrase like nobody else. Like it is.
Oh my god, the writing is exquisite.
It's so good. In the Dream House. Also, Her Body and Other Parties is her short story collection, which is also fucking incredible. It's so good.
I haven't read it yet, but I certainly plan to.
Read it.
The Dream House like
blew
my mind.
It's so good.
And especially wanting to write nonfiction, but not like a typical essay or anything. Like I think I want to write into intergenre stuff.
Yeah, like
essay stuff.
She
uses, this is a great example of that.
She uses second person. Like she doesn't say I. She does in a couple passages, but for the most part, she uses second person, which is really, really interesting in a memoir. Like, but it's fucking great. Yeah, it's amazing. And then the last book I have been reading, starting, I don't know if I'm going to continue it, unfortunately, is Refuse or however you want to pronounce it. Can Lit in Ruins. This came out a couple years ago. It is a collection of essays. So this came out after the Stephen Galloway stuff, essentially. No worries, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for dropping in. There'll be a VOD up, and then it'll also be up on YouTube in the next roughly week or so. So yeah, you can catch it then. But thank you so much for dropping in, and thank you for the biddies. But yeah, Refuse is, I don't know how I feel about it. So it came out around the time the Stephen Galloway thing broke out, which if people don't know what that is, to try and summarize it as quickly as possible, essentially a prof at the University of British Columbia was a dirtbag to a bunch of undergrads. They came out and were like, listen, this guy was a fucking dirtbag. And then a bunch of...
Stop it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Stop being a fucking dirtbag. And then a bunch of people in the community who are very prominent names were essentially gaslighting the victims and being really shitty, and just, it was a fucking dumpster fire. And
signed a petition.
Yep, signed a petition.
They were literally like, I don't think he would do this.
Right. So like,
you weren't there. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It was a fucking dumpster fire in every conceivable way. He went out and like tried to fucking sue people. I think it still is actively trying to sue people. I know a handful of people that were caught up in that bullshit. So that fucking sucked. But this book came out kind of around that time. I like what it is trying to do in theory. I don't know if it works. Mostly because there are so many disparate voices, and also I think the biggest thing for me that doesn't work about it is it doesn't know if it wants to be very like insidery, and it wants to talk about something that's very insular, or if it wants to bring people in and like expose this thing that a lot of people might not know about to other people. And it kind of like toes the line between both of them. And I'm like, you're doing a lot of exposition, which I get because you're trying to explain the situation to people, but then the like next essay will talk about something that without a lot of context, I don't know if people are going to understand. So it's just like, it kind of does both, and it doesn't exactly work. And I think maybe the other thing too is I might be a little bit, not necessarily over talking about it, because it still needs to be talked about, and there are a lot of fucking problems in Canadian literature. But I'm also just like, I'm fucking burnt out on Canadian literature and the scene, so it just feels like very negative. And there might be, I haven't admittedly never finished it. There might be places where it gets to where it talks about like, this is what we need to do to grow as a community, and this is what we need to do to there must be hope in this book somewhere, I hope. It's just like, I haven't got to that point yet, and I find it very exhausting to try and get to that point. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like even in the year or two before the pandemic, the literary community in Montreal has really been just kind of like, I don't want to say going downhill. I just feel like people aren't doing things, and I think it's because we're all so burnt out.
It's very easy
from
to
like
get
bullshit that's gone down at Concordia,
at UBC,
from
just like
abusive people in our communities,
and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it fucking sucks. It's just, yeah, it wears you the fuck down. Totally. I get it. But let's move on to something positive. Let's talk a little bit about the Bronwen Wallace Prize, because we've been circling around it. We've been circling around it. But for those who don't know, fucking Jess, aka Not Your Muse, was nominated as a finalist for the 2021 Bronwen Wallace Prize for Poetry, which is a prize, arguably one of the biggest prizes in Canada for emerging writers. And up until this year, it was for emerging writers 35 and under, but luckily enough, they stopped being fucking ageist, and after some people were like, listen, this is a little bit ageist, they corrected that, which is fucking amazing. But yeah, it's a big fucking deal. It's a big fucking deal, and I am so immensely proud of you and so happy for you because you fucking deserve it because it's fucking awesome.
No.
But yeah, so let's.
Thank you. It's so wild.
It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
It's something because we talked a little bit before we started about how you've been applying to this thing for like 8 years.
Yeah.
And I think I've been going. I think I did it like 5 or 6 years, something like that.
I've been playing. Yeah. I was looking back just the other day at my submissions, and I think this was the 7th or 8th time
there you go.
I submitted.
Yeah, and like
to this award.
Yeah, and I can say from personal experience, it's fucking hard, and also I know so many fucking great writers who have applied for that and applied for other shit like it and don't get it, and that is fucking heartbreaking. But when people finally do get that recognition, holy shit, it's fucking awesome. It's fucking rad.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's a real fucking crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, because like there were 250 poetry submissions and then 300 finalists.
Yep, there's 3
like,
finalists.
It's not possible that there are only 3 talented people.
Exactly, 3 finalists decided by 3 judges. In the case of fiction, there was 295, I think. And again, 3 judges, and like that's the other thing you always have to keep in mind too. And this was something I struggled with for a very long time as a writer and like being in publishing. And it wasn't until I started publishing other people that I finally had the kind of like knowledge and context to understand was this is, at the end of the day, as much as like, yes, obviously you're a fucking incredible writer. There's no doubt about that at all. This is also the opinion of 3 people, right? Like this is opinion of 3 judges. And I didn't kind of understand that until I started writing or running a press and was like, right, I'm getting a fuck ton of amazing submissions, but like, for example, say I read this piece last week and then I read a very similar piece to it the next week. It might be that just like timing or circumstances or whatever the fuck means I don't necessarily publish the second piece because it just doesn't fit with like the rest of the issue. It doesn't fit with the fucking like ethos of whatever I'm publishing at that moment. And it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, therefore I reject it. Fuck that piece. It's like, no, at least in my case, I would often just hold it until the next round of submissions and then just publish it then. But like, yeah, you always have to keep in mind it's not fucking subjective. It's not even, or sorry, it's not objective. It's so fucking subjective.
It's not objective. It's the most subjective.
It's the most subjective you can possibly be. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like, for context, I published some of those, or I submitted some of the poems that were accepted this time.
Yep, totally.
The
1000%.
last time I submitted.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Like, you know?
Yeah, and
so it has to do with just, like you said, what's going on in the world, who the judges are. And I mean, I have been working hard on this submission as well. Like, I've definitely tuned up a lot of those poems.
But it's still, it started from the same place that it was when it got rejected.
You really have to take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly. 1000%.
Yeah.
1000%.
You have to take it with a whole fucking tablespoon of salt.
Yeah, you have to take this whole, I think you have to take writing with a whole grain, tablespoon, fucking table, whole room of salt. Yeah, you just have to keep in mind that, like, it's it's all fucking subjective, and somebody out there likes your shit, and it's just you have to be in the right place at the right time with the right judges and a whole bunch of other shit. But also, like, and I've always said this too, is allow space to be disappointed when you don't fucking win prizes. If you really, really want to win a prize and it matters to you, and I can understand why it matters, because listen, that's recognition, that's fucking money, that's like workshops and retreats and shit like that sometimes as well. Like, you're allowed to fully recognize, hey, this is completely subjective. I can't do anything about it. This doesn't reflect on me as a person or a writer. But also, you're allowed to fucking be sad and hate it when you don't get nominated for something. You're allowed to go fucking get like a tub of Ben and Jerry's and just fucking pound that shit back. Like, who cares? Do it.
My favorite thing to do when I'm disappointed about things like that is just like literally like cry, have a tantrum on the floor, like get out the sadness until it makes me laugh. You know what I mean?
Until it just becomes absurd.
Like,
yeah, 1000%.
Disappointed. And like, yeah. But if you got to get it out.
Absolutely.
Like I had a manuscript. I had a manuscript rejected from Coach House a couple of years ago, and that bummed me the fuck out.
Yeah, I remember I sent out manuscripts to my like dream publishers, and they rejected it.
Yeah.
And it's a dream for a reason, right? Like, and you're allowed to be disappointed by that, and it's okay. Because we're fucking humans. We're fucking humans, and it happens. But yeah, you're a goddamn finalist.
But it's it's a huge leg up. Like, and I don't want to shit on it, and I don't want to like, because my impulse is to minimize it. To be like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
But it's a fucking.
Don't congratulate me.
It's a fucking huge deal.
It is.
Yeah, totally. And like the thing is,
it's kind of disrespectful, I think, to do that. But.
Exactly. And the other thing too is that I want to fully acknowledge this right now. Like, you and I are talking candidly about prize culture and stuff like that, but also at the same time, like, I will say, especially when it comes to the Bronwen Wallace Prize, like, the people that are the finalists, like, they are undoubtedly some of the best writers in the entire fucking country. Like, full stop. It's not like,
oh my god, yeah.
It's not like the quality is not.
People who are submitted.
Yeah, it's not like the quality is not insanely fucking high.
You can read it online, and they're so good.
Yeah,
they're all like fucked up good.
It's not like, it's not a surprise that these people are finalists. It's not, and it's not just this year. Like, I remember when one of the judges, Domenica Martinello, was a fucking finalist the other year, and I was like, yup, yeah, absolutely, 1000%. Domenica is one of the best poets in the fucking country. Like, she is absolutely incredible. And like John Elizabeth Cincy, I discovered John through the Bronwen Wallace Prize, and then I started reading them, and I was like, fucking Christ, this is, I can see why they're a finalist. Like, holy shit.
If you click my link tree, which is, I think, on the description, one of my links is to the Bronwen Wallace site, and you can read all of the submissions.
Yeah, they're
online
good
for free, so shit. I would super duper recommend that.
Yeah, I will grab that fucking link right now. I put the Bronwen Wallace link in there as well, but we'll grab Jess's link as well. Boom. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. It's super cool.
I am very much of two minds about all of this, because like I want to be read. I want to be successful in that. I mean, being successful to me used to mean winning prizes. I remember like my career goal in my early 20s was like win the Griffin Award.
Totally.
And now my career goal is like connect with people. It's, it's like be read, be as successful and as widely read and published as you can be in order to connect with people.
1000%. That's a great way.
That's really like what I want out of this life.
That's a great way to look at it, right? And I even remember,
because the people who have meant the most to me in this world, the other writers who have really made a difference in my life. Like, I can't imagine if I hadn't read those people.
Exactly.
Or if I hadn't had those teachers or whoever it might be in my life. Like, however you are connecting with people.
1000%. And like that's the other thing too is I remember when I was just first starting out, I was 1000% convinced. Like, this was in like late high school, college age, maybe even a little bit like first year undergrad. I was like 1000% convinced that you could make a living in Canada being an editor of a literary magazine. And like, that just sounds fucking absurd at this point. You know, like it's literally not possible. But that then let me kind of reframe things and shift my way of thinking and being like, right, I'm not going to be able to make a living just running a fucking literary magazine, but I am going to be able to do it well enough that I can make enough money from it that it will sustain itself as far as printing goes. And that's the big thing that matters. And then any other profit is fucking great, but that's not the like most important part of it. The most important part of it is finding new fucking writers and giving them a platform and a voice where they can be fucking awesome, and then other people can find it and go, oh shit, this is really good, this is fucking awesome. And then, like you said, it's making connections, and it's finding new fucking amazing awesome people. Like, money is nice, obviously, but we work within the system that we are, the system that is put upon us, and you could do a lot to fucking try and fight against it, but you also have to, like, at some point be a realist and know sometimes the construction of the system is such that you can only go so far, and you have to work within that and then adjust accordingly, just to like keep yourself fucking sane, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yes, keeping sane.
Well, relatively speaking.
But yeah, one thing that I have been really struggling with the Bronwen Wallace is this idea that one of us has to win. That is so stupid to me.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And that like one person is going to be held above the others, and that one person is going to win one big amount of money. Like, my plan, sincerely, and now I realize it's not going to be able to happen, which I'm really beating myself up about. But my plan was to like get together with the other participants and be like, we don't want there to be a winner.
Right.
We want to all share.
Just
if
share.
That's what they wanted. Like, I was going to bring that idea to them. Totally. Because I saw that years ago for this British award. I can't remember what it was. I think it was for young novelists. And they all decided to share the award. And when wonderful. I read that, I was like, that's fucking amazing. Yeah. Like, no one wins the title. They all share the money.
Yeah.
Because at this point, like, I keep accidentally saying to people, like, I won this award. Because that's what it feels like. Like, to me, it doesn't matter who wins. Like, I actively wish someone wouldn't win.
I mean, fair enough. And the other thing, too, is like, and this goes more so to the publishers than like award culture. I'll give publishers a lot of credit. Is they don't go, oh, this person lost the Bronwen Wallace, well then we're not gonna fucking publish them. like sincerely, if like, obviously I think you and I both share the opinion that like, quote unquote, publishability being tied up in like prize culture that's problematic, and that's shitty, and that can feel very exclusionary. That's very exclusionary and shitty.
The way I'm seeing it is like it's visibility.
Exactly. And I'll give publishers a lot of credit.
Like, I've always been here, but now people can see me.
Finally people see me. And I'll give publishers a lot of credit in the sense that they don't go, oh, well, we only fucking publish the winner. Like, no, that's not. I know a lot of shortlisted people. I know a lot of long-listed people for other prizes that got fucking book deals. It just took that prize like shortlist for people to finally clue in, which is problematic, but I will say at least
my plan, whether or not I was a finalist for this award, I was like, I got my shit together, like I got these poems together.
Got a full ass,
and I was like, okay,
manuscript.
my manuscript's basically done.
Yeah, totally.
The manuscript's together. So I'm gonna wait until the results of the Bronwen Wallace, if I'm a finalist, which did not expect that. If I'm a finalist, then that's awesome. I'll be super visible. Yeah. And if I'm not, expected that, then that'll just be my deadline. I'll start sending stuff out to publishers.
Fair point. Yeah,
but exactly. It's like the way I see it is now like, okay, I was gonna send stuff to like McClellan and Stewart and Anansi and Coach House anyway.
Totally.
Because
now,
why the fuck not?
Yeah, at some point, why the fuck not?
But now it's like, oh, they might actually
come to you.
Me.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is now this gives you the not the bargaining chip. I don't want to say bargaining chip because it's not that. It's like you, in a way, it's like
it kind of is.
It is though. It is. But like your name is out there now, so it might be that they, instead of you having to be like, well, fuck, I need to send this out to everybody and then track them down and like hound them and be like, hey, did you see my manuscript? Do you like it? They're gonna come to you, you know, and like that's a fucking great feeling. That is fucking bonkers. Yeah. It's fucking rad. It's so.
I'm sorry, I just got very distracted because I'm sitting in front of my little front garden here. That's outside my window, and like my favorite elderly old neighbor just walked by, and then also my favorite street cat walked by beside him, and it was just fucking precious.
That's a good combo. That's a good fucking combo.
It was really cute.
I think we've talked enough about that stuff. Before we move into the news,
fuck the system.
Fuck the system. I agree. Yeah. Before we move into the news, I have to pee so bad.
Oh my god, me too.
You'll love to see it. Okay, cool. We'll take a quick 2, 3, 4 minute break. We'll be back. We'll talk about some news, then we'll talk about what got you into publishing and Twitch and such. So yeah, we'll be back in just a minute, friends.
Yes, sir.
Stick around. Hello, friends. Welcome back. Hope you are good. Hope you are beautiful. I know you are. Welcome back. So, we are going to talk a little bit about just a couple news stories before we get into talking about other shit. So, talk about the news.
Although I realized we forgot to talk about what we're playing.
Oh, yeah. All right, breaking news. We're going to talk about a couple things we've been playing. That's a great question. What have I been playing? What have I been playing? I've been playing more new Pokemon Snap, which, fucking A, that game.
How is it?
It's adorable. Did you play the original?
I did.
It's basically just more of that, except more adorable. Yeah, it's really, really cute. That's like, I don't think you need to sum it up any other way than it's absolutely fucking adorable. It's really fun. It's really cool.
My only request, like the only way you could improve on that game is if it's longer, because it only takes about an hour to play the original.
It is demonstrably longer. There's way more levels. They also do this cool thing where there's night and day versions of the levels. And then you have... That
makes so much sense.
It's really cool. And then you have like a... for each level... You have a rank, I guess you can essentially say it. I think it goes 1 to 4, and then as you play each level more, you rank up and you unlock like new Pokemon, but you also unlock like new behaviors from the Pokemon. You unlock the night version of the level. It's really, really cool. It's really, really neat. Yeah, they did exactly what they needed to do to make the same game with improvements that make sense and make it more than an hour-long game. It's really, really good. It's cool as fuck.
Oh my god, I want it now. Yeah. I have such a collector's mentality.
I mean, listen.
Like, I was showing my Pokemon cards on stream yesterday.
Yes, that was fucking great. That was good shit. You gotta get that shit appraised, dude. You gotta fucking make some bank off that shit. Because I'm sure, because you got a solid fucking collection. So I'm sure you got something in there. I would say so. I better than mine.
I would only be happy with it if it was complete.
Ooh, that's gonna take a lot of time and money. A lot of time and money. Yeah,
I know. I'm tempted to do it, but then I'm like, I don't even want that. Like, what am I talking about?
The other thing too is
if I imagine
you just can't
that I
find
have
cards
150
anymore,
and I'd be like, well, I don't.
Yeah. Now what? Gotta get all of them, and then that's extremely expensive and time consuming and shitty.
I'm only interested in the first generation.
I know.
It's like the same way I love Sailor Moon. My love of Sailor Moon is limited to my love of it as a child. Like, I've got my little Sailor Moon brooch.
Fuck yeah, you do. Good stuff. Good shit.
This is my earpods. This is my earpod thing.
Oh, fucking smart. Nice. That's fucking amazing. What else have I been playing? Oh, I haven't started it yet, but there's a game I'm gonna be playing on stream on Tuesday called Grease. I think it's Grease. I think it's either Gree or Grease. It's GRIS. And it essentially Gree. I think it's Gree.
Like French for gray?
Yes, and it does reference gray. So Gree would make sense. And it's just like a game about somebody moving through their grief, but the grief is what's the word I'm looking for? The grief
it's personified by different colors and also elements.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's personified by a bunch of different.
I've played it. It's
yeah, cool.
Extremely beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really excited to fuck around with it because it looks great, and I've heard
a very calm.
I've heard the soundtrack is amazing too.
Puzzle kind of thing.
I've heard the soundtrack is also really, really good. So I've been excited to go through that. So that's going to be coming up in a couple days. And then there's one other game that I have not played yet, but I want to, and that's going to be on Monday. Is a game called Erica, which is an FMV game, which means that it's full motion video.
What's that?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
It's no like digitized, computerized graphics. It's all real life that they shot fucking video and they put it together like a movie and you interact with it. And it seems really fucking cool. All I know is it's some kind of thriller game that apparently is incredibly well acted. And I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's take a chance on this shit. So, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is it like a choice-based game?
Yes. Yeah. Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. That seems really cool.
So you're not controlling a character kind of thing. I gotcha.
Not like input, not like you're not moving the character, but you are controlling their choices and stuff like that. So it seems really neat.
Oh my god. Imagine like when technology actually gets that good. That'll be so fucking weird.
I mean, it's getting to that point, honestly. It's looking at my PS5, I'm like, yep, this shit looks like real life. Like, yeah. But what have you been playing?
Well, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I've been playing the only video game that I play, which is Stardew Valley.
Oh man, let's talk about Stardew Valley for the next 7 hours, because I could. I fucking love that game. Love that game.
Today, so I live with my partner, and we have his 2 kids half the time. And so Saul, the 8-year-old, today we were talking about like what is the best or worst days of our life. And he said the best day of his life was the day he first played Stardew Valley.
That's adorable. That's amazing. That's cute. Great. That's fucking raising that kid right. That's for sure. Because yeah, it's up there. Yep. Fucking Stardew Valley is. You want to talk about an adorable fucking game? You want to talk about just like a chill, amazing, weirdly, surprisingly, like effectively emotional, like beautiful little game.
Very emotional. It's super anti-capitalist.
Yep. And then you got fucking Shane with his like fucking alcoholism problems and shit like that. Like it gets deep.
Real ass problems in that game.
Yeah. It's a fucking. I love that game.
And it's all about like as you get to know people, it's like as the cutscenes as you get to know people, they always surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of like people behave in ways that you wouldn't expect. Like the disabled character who's in a wheelchair was probably like he's like, oh, you probably thought that like I'm just
Oh
old
yeah, yeah.
in a wheelchair, and like no, but like I was in this accident and da da da. And,
Yeah, totally.
Or like the my favorite character, Linus, who's the like homeless man / amazing wood elf creature. He's
Yeah.
not really, but he's like this
Might as well
amazing
be.
forest spirit in my mind.
Might as well be, yeah.
And the final cutscene with him is that you get to you ask him if he wants if he wants to live on your farm with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's like, no, thank you. Like
I'm
I
good.
choose to live out here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really cool moment.
The game like really teaches you, or like if kids are playing it, it really teaches you not to assume things about people.
That's the thing I think is like low-key its kind of best strength is it knows exactly how to present you something and then subvert it and make you go, oh shit, I didn't think about that. And yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example where in your mind, you're like, well, yeah, obviously this dude is going to want to come live on my farm because it's much better than what he's doing right now. And he's like, actually, no, it's not. I'm pretty fucking chill here. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck.
I'm hanging out with the wizard.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm hanging out with a wizard. Why the fuck would I want to come hang out with you? Like, yeah, it's just like it does a great job of going, here's your expectations. We're gonna subvert them and fucking teach you something. And like especially for kids. Yeah, exactly. It's adorable. It's great.
And it's also like just like Saul's English language. He's his first language is French, or he's like pretty equally bilingual, but he goes to school in French.
Right.
And his English language reading has gone up
so
much in the past year.
Totally.
He's so good at like the math aspects, the planning, like planning out the farm, and it's like low-key an educational game.
Totally. I think the other thing I love about it too is that you can kind of do whatever you want. You can be like, you can be like, I'm gonna just focus on socializing with people. I'm going to just focus on making a fuck ton of money off of fucking what's called crops. I'm going to focus not even on making money off crops. I'm just going to focus on like making my farm look really really pretty. Like
yeah, that's the way that our other kid Rose plays it.
Yeah,
she likes the aesthetics. She likes to decorate her house. Like she's making as much money as she can so she can get the furniture catalog and decorate things however she wants.
Right, and yeah, and or you can just be like, I'm just gonna go fucking mining. I'm just gonna go fishing. Like, yeah, it's just it has so much stuff in it.
It's like so many games all put into one,
and they're all good. Like that's the thing too. Is like there's not any really one aspect of it where I'm just like, this isn't that great.
There's no weak spot to that game.
Yeah, it's kind of a perfect fucking game. I love that game so much. Yeah, I still boot it up every once in a while to just check in on it. I think the other thing I love about it too, it's got fucking multiplayer. It's had multiplayer for a little while now, and that shit is great. That shit's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I don't like multiplayer because I'm a control freak, and I'm, like, I'm gonna mess up my farm.
Get the fuck out of here! You fucking get relegated to over there. Give me my fucking farm. Fuck off.
That's your part of the farm.
Yeah.
Or Chris and I did start. Chris, my partner, we started a farm together, and then he kept being like, "No, like I'm gonna pick that crop and like sell it." I'm like, we're doing this together.
Cooperation.
Like there is no, it's shared.
Yep. The fucking crop goes the same place. Who gives a shit? Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. I totally get it. Like there are totally also some games where I'm like, oh, this would be perfect to play with my partner, and then I'm like, nope, absolutely not. Like Overcooked. And
you want to ruin your relationship?
Yeah, like there are 1000% games that like I know are like fucking quote unquote divorce games where I'm just like, nope, this is not gonna go well. This is not gonna go well. Overcooked is one of them. Fucking Untitled Goose Game, that's another where I'm just like, nope. Tetris.
Can you play that multiplayer?
Yeah, Goose Game you can. It's a shit show. It's a wonderful shit show.
What, like Goose versus Farmer?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Untitled Goose Game does have multiplayer, and
I've actually never played that, which is stupid.
You should. It's dumb as fuck, and I love it. It's fucking hilarious.
I absolutely should.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the games we've been playing. It's good shit. What let's
The only other game that I play is Grindstone.
That's on phones, right?
Yeah, it's on phone, it's on Apple Arcade, and it's just a really, really fucking good puzzle game.
It is. I've seen what I've seen of it. I'm like, yep, that looks fucking cool as shit. I wish it was on PC. I don't think it is.
And you can scale how much gore you want, which is nice.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Yeah. It might be on PC. Grindstone. Let's see if Grindstone's on PC.
I have it on Apple Arcade. Which is a bit dumb because I have the Apple Arcade subscription just to play one game.
Nice.
I maybe should branch out. But...
Oh shit! Look at that. It's on Switch.
They also have a game I really like. I would highly recommend it. Oh, I've been playing Cozy Grove. That shit is
Cozy Grove is super cute. Yeah.
However, it needs like more of a guide.
Yeah, I've heard that about
Hopefully they'll work on that.
I've heard that about it. It's a little bit confusing as to what you need to do.
Like there's so many items, that it can be confusing as to like how the interactions with your like pets work, and it's a little confusing, but it's a new game, so I assume they'll work out those kinks.
Yeah, totally.
And the other game I really like on Apple Arcade is Outlanders.
Outlanders is good shit.
A super fun like village building game.
Yep. Outlanders is good. Grindstone is on not only Apple Arcade, but it's also on the Switch and the PC. So there you go. I thought it was only on Apple Arcade. So there you go. If you have a Switch or a PC, you can get that shit.
And I think you can, if you have Apple Arcade, I think you can also play a lot of the games on your computer.
Yeah, you can play it on your Mac OS.
Like, yeah, they're cross-platform,
which is good.
Yeah.
Word. All right.
Anyway,
cool.
I don't stream games.
This is true. Have you streamed Stardew Valley? I
streamed Stardew Valley once, and I didn't really like it. I didn't like streaming a video game very much.
Fair enough.
Because like when I game, I just kind of want to zone out.
Yeah, that's fair. It's very much a zone out type of fucking game, so that makes sense. Yeah. Word. All right. Let's get into the news. We only have a couple stories. I'll take the first one. So Twitch has added over 350 new tags like black, transgendered, and disabled. This is via Kotaku. So starting this week, so I think it was last week technically. No, this week? It was this week. I can't remember. It was either last week or this week. Streamers on Twitch are going to have over 350 new tags that they can use to help classify their streams related to gender, sexual orientation, race, nationality, ability, mental health, and more. Twitch announced the expansion of its tag system late last week, saying they are, quote, completely original and simply give creators more choices. Some of those choices, which will allow users to better focus and promote the stuff they are into, includes transgender, black, disabled, veteran, VTuber, and so on and so forth. Something really interesting. We were talking about this the other day. I cannot, for the fucking life of me, actually find a list of the tags. I found articles about the fact that they put out this fucking update to the tagging system. I cannot find an actual list of all of the tags, which is strange to me.
Yeah, that's what I want too. Like, I've used the new tags.
Yeah, like.
But I have to like search. Like, oh, I wonder if this is a tag.
I have queer, I have bisexual in the tags right now. Those are both new tags because that's what I am. Mm-hmm. But yeah, exactly. I had to type those in and be like, is that in there? Okay, great, cool. Like another example, I have bipolar disorder and BPD, and I was like, well, if I ever do mental health like streams, I'd love to put those tags in there. I had to type those in and then be like, oh, nope, those aren't in there. You know? So it's just weird stuff that I'm just like, well, if you're gonna do this, let people know what all the tags are instead of yeah, and like, okay, perfect example. I was like, okay, they talked about nationality, so I was like, all right, let's double check. Canadian, for example, we're both Canadian streamers. Canadian's in there as a tag, but like, you're not gonna know that unless you type it in and hope for the best. And I just like, I don't I just find that weird that they didn't put out a master list where you can find it. Or if they did, it's really hard to find because I have not found it yet. So, yeah. But listen, more.
It's very weird.
More fucking visibility.
I'm glad they did that because I was on a stream. I think it's Zombie Kills. I don't know if you've watched her. She's
I think
awesome.
I think you've rated her before.
Fat. What does she call herself? Black fat something. Yeah, I really, really like her.
She's great.
And she is great. But she was in conversation one time. It was during like the Black Creators like promo week, and she was complaining about how badly Twitch handled it.
Yeah.
And she's saying like, we don't even have a fucking tag, and they tell us that like, oh, if we had a tag, people would come like troll us more easily. It's like they already fucking do that.
Exactly. Right?
Like, a tag is only going to help us connect with each other.
And the other thing too, it's like, listen, if and I've seen this argument on article. I've seen this like argument in the comments sections of articles for this thing. There's been a lot of people being like saying that exact thing of, oh, well, if you put this tagging system in, then you are only encouraging trolls to seek out these people and troll them. And exactly like you said, they're fucking getting trolled already. Like, a tag is not going to stop people from being shitty. And it only encourages better and more fucking community. And one, like Twitch said, it's optional. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. And two, if you are like being like, well, it's only going to encourage bad behavior, and like you have to go out of your way to seek out a tag like, say, queer, bisexual, black. Like, you have to go out of your way to fucking search those out and then be a shitty troll. And if you're going to go that far, then I guarantee you the person on the other end has fostered a good enough community that they're going to shut that shit down immediately and be like, fuck off, you know? And like, do I wish Twitch as a platform would do better and take more steps to cut that off like at the knees so that, you know, it doesn't all have to be on the content creator and their community to like essentially police the community? Like, yeah, I do, but we're also like, I'm in a reality in which I know what the stakes and reality is, and we have to fucking police it ourselves sometimes. And like, yeah, people are going to be trolls regardless.
I mean, I'm glad that they did include the tags now, because that's, like we were saying, that's not the issue. Tags is not the issue. Trolls are going to troll.
Yeah,
whether or not we have access to tags, which help us actually find each other.
And honestly, the other thing too.
So like, yeah, it's got to be on Twitch to better police, like people from just trolling someone, then immediately creating a new account.
Exactly, 1000%.
And going back in.
The other thing too, it's like if anything, as weird as it sounds, if anything, these new tags almost kind of make it easier to police this shit, because you know that the trolls are going to go out there and use the fucking tags to search this shit out. And then listen, it gets them out in the fucking open as being shitty trolls. Like, great. Okay, thanks for like kind of in a way doing my job for me, because now I know, oh, you're a fucking dirtbag. So it sucks that it took this long. It's still gonna have growing pains, but I'm really fucking glad that they finally did it, because I took it out of the article, but in the original article it literally even said like, this has been in talks since 2018. Like, it's been going for a while. And like, listen, I've worked for enough companies and enough I've worked for enough things to know that sometimes good intentions are there, but it just takes a lot longer than people would want because of bureaucratic bullshit, or honestly, listen, I guarantee you they probably had, like, adding tags to Twitch is probably way harder than people realize. And I don't want to completely alleviate them of responsibility, not even fucking close. But I think so. This was talked about in 2018. I'm sure it could have been done in like late 2019 if they really, really fucking tried. But also, I think maybe people were hoping this would take a week. I feel like it's probably more involved than that, you know? But even still, like, yeah, the fact that it took
I guess I kind of
since
thought,
2018,
like,
holy
when I
fuck.
first came to Twitch, I didn't realize that it was such a, like, gatekeepy thing, these tags. I thought it was more like a hashtag.
Right?
Like, I
Yeah.
remember when I first was putting in my tags, I was like, can I add tags? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair too. That's the other thing too. It's yeah, like it is. There is a gatekeeperness to it, right? And also people 1000% use those tags and will use those tags as not just people coming into chats, but like streamers will 1000, like the shitty ones will 1000% use those tags to be shitty trolls. And that's where Twitch needs to step in and be like, are you fucking abusing this? Are you misusing this? You know, like,
Yeah.
and that's where it takes the human part of Twitch and the human part of like Twitch's moderators to come in and look at that shit. And it's gonna take a lot of work, and it's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take a lot of time, but like the alternative was not, oh, well, maybe this will encourage more trolls, so therefore we shouldn't put it in at all. Like that's a shit fucking excuse, and I hate that type of mentality of, oh, well, there's always going to be shitty people, so if we should just not do anything about it.
Let's
To
not
not
try.
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck that, man. Just like live your fucking life and be fucking fierce and combative and own your fucking identity. And if that means people are going to come for you, let them. You've got an entire fucking community of like-minded people who will have your fucking back, even if it feels like Twitch doesn't. Because like, at least I can speak for myself only, but like being a queer person, I had to find that fucking community. I had to make that fucking community. And when I made that community, I made it with the express purpose of knowing these people are going to have my fucking back all the time because they love me for who I am. And therefore, if somebody comes for me, we're all going to fucking tell them to fuck off. Like,
shut it down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's an amazing Audre Lorde quote that I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, you can't take something from me that I own about myself.
That's it. Yeah, I know exactly which quote you're talking about. And yeah, exactly. Like you coming into, I mean, we had it earlier in the fucking, we literally had it earlier in the podcast. A couple people came in and were just like, not necessarily being trolls, but just being like fucking weird. And it's just like, you're like, I gotta fucking shit. I gotta shut that shit down. And I'm not gonna let you come in and ruin the show. I'm not gonna let you come in and ruin the fucking space I created. Like, fuck off. Yeah, but it's good to finally see this shit happen, because it's only in the end gonna lead to better and more diverse and more together and like more strong communities. And if that means that the community and the streamers have to do the majority of the heavy lifting at first, I mean that's kind of Twitch in general, but like at least it's something, you know. So it's rad.
I also want to see if they added any more art tags. I want to see this list.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like we said, I legit do not understand why there's not a master list. It is really, really weird. Like you just gotta kind of guess, like because I know we've had this talk about the fact that when you stream, or at least when you were first starting streaming, you were like, I don't know what to tag my streams as, because it's like you could put it as papercraft, but like it's kind of papercraft.
It's not really right.
It's not exact. Like I put papercraft in the.
But it's like people scrapbooking.
Exactly, and
so it's not really the right.
It's not the right thing. But so for example, I put papercraft in the tags for the show just because I'm like, well, it's loosely related-ish. It will hopefully get people. Hopefully get people like who are interested in it to come check it out. But like, it's not. What you do is not papercraft, and it's also like it's not traditional art. It's kind
crafting... I know. I mean, traditional art, I guess, means like in opposition to digital art. So that's what I usually tag myself.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Traditional art.
Yeah.
Like I make physical art.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, like I'm often riding the line between the crafting channel or whatever it's called. Tag, I guess, versus art.
Yeah, and the other thing too,
the crafting category versus the art category. And
like there's no publishing category that we know of. I
don't think that I relate as much to craft. I don't think I relate as much to the people in the craft category.
Right. Like, okay, perfect example. I literally, in real time, literally right now, I just double checked for books and publishing as tags. They're not in there. So, like, there's digital art. There's no, like, print making. There's 3D printing. There's no printing. There's no print making. There's no book binding. Like, So it's just, yeah.
It's wild.
It is. It's obviously they have places to improve, and they'll hopefully get there. I hope this means this is a start of they're going to start adding more tags. It's just like, 1, please add more tags. 2, let people know what the fuck those tags are. Like, yeah.
I would say let people add their own tags, but then you'll end up with shitty stuff. Like
and that
stuff.
Probably. That's a part where I totally understand. Yes, absolutely moderate that shit.
Actually, yeah.
Definitely moderate that shit. But yeah, just let us know what some of the tags are. Have like an open forum or whatever, suggestion box, or I don't know, even do a thing where like, say they're like, listen, we have fucking this list of possible tags coming up for this month. Vote on them. Something like that.
Vote on it.
So that way people know, like what matters. And you can just make it an open dialogue, make it an open discussion so that the shit grows. And the more that Twitch has specializations and the more that Twitch shows that it is a ever growing and ever diverse platform that has a lot of shit to a lot of different people, that's great. And like, that's what tags do, right? They help with that stuff.
Yeah.
So they're getting there. They're getting there.
I've been trying to get people, like non-Twitch people, to come join me on my art making streams, and they're like, what is that? Either they don't know at all, or they're like, is that like the video game thing? Like, I don't get why you would watch people play video games.
Yeah, which is a whole other thing.
Which I didn't at first. Like, I found Twitch through my friend Fromighty, who's Liz, who I mentioned before, who is in here. That's her fiance.
Right.
And he is so fucking funny. I was like, oh, I get this. Like, I get why I'm really enjoying watching someone play video games, quote unquote, because it's not. It's like we're hanging out, and the fact that you can chat in real time is like, it's like you're actually hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. And like that, yeah, and that's the thing.
And that's why I love streaming too. Like, I love making my art, and I feel like you guys are hanging out with me in my studio while I'm making my art.
Exactly. And that's the thing I don't think people realize is, it's more than just playing video games. It's more than just, I'm going to sit here making art whilst not talking to anybody. It's an active conversation, right? And like, granted, I do have a quick story about the fact that I had a friend, our boy Craig Plant, fucking, he was streaming Metal Gear Solid one time, and he got a raid of like 250 fucking people, which is right.
Oh my god,
it's insane.
I would barf.
It was mind blowing. But the thing that we realized after the fact, like, we looked up the channel that rated him because we were so fucking curious. We were like, this is nuts. the channel that rated him was somebody else that was playing Metal Gear Solid. But what was really, really weird is they had no commentary on the game at all. It was just raw gameplay, and 250 people watching just raw gameplay of a game that's fucking like 20 years old. It's like more than 20 years old now. Fucking 30 years old. Like it came out in 20 years old because it came out in 1998. Yeah, but like it was just like,
are there games that came out 30 years ago?
1988, yeah, the Super
Tetris?
Nintendo, or not the Super Nintendo, Tetris. There you go.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
When I was playing Tetris on stream yesterday,
fuck yeah,
afterwards, I seriously considered like, should I just be? And I was playing it on my Game Boy Color, which I still have from childhood.
Yep.
I was like, after that stream, I was like, should I just like be hot and play Game Boy Color? Like, should that be my channel now?
I mean,
I'll probably be way more successful.
Listen, it'll work. It'll work. Yeah. But yeah, it was just so nuts to see a fuck ton of people come in and be like, oh, they don't like when you talk about playing video games. They don't like it. Stop it. And it was just so weird. It was so fucking weird. But yeah.
I bet there is, yeah. I'm sure
there's totally
there is people who just want to watch.
Twitch is nothing if not everything for everybody, right? Like there is literally, like there's literally anything you can think of, it's probably on Twitch. And I don't think that's something people realize.
Were you the one who was telling me that there are people sleeping?
Yep, there's people who just sleep. That creeps me the fuck out so much. I hate it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like an Andy Warhol wet dream.
Exactly, right? Oh, Andy Warhol would fucking love Twitch. Are you kidding me? Andy Warhol would love Twitch. But on to the next one.
I wonder what he would do.
Oh, who knows? Do you want to take this next story or do you want me to?
Oh my god, you do it.
All right.
I'm not ready, but I'll talk about it.
Word. So, I mean, considering we both fucking work in and are involved in publishing, I figured, fuck it, let's add a couple publishing stories in there. I found this really, really interesting. So Canadians read more broadly in 2020, which is from a report by Booknet. Despite having an increase in leisure time in 2020 compared to the previous year, Canadians did not read more frequently in 2020. According to Booknet's Canadian Leisure and Reading Study 2020, Canadians read more broadly across subjects in 2020, however, with a significant increase in nonfiction and YA, which, yeah, that tracks, to be honest.
That pretty much sums up 2020.
Yep, exactly. A sizable minority of those surveyed...
I'm pretty sure it was like... Oh, you finish the article.
All right, sorry. A sizable minority of those surveyed, 40%, said that they thought they had more leisure time in 2020 than 2019. Honestly, I'm really surprised that number isn't fucking higher. Like, you were just inside all the time. But the frequency of reading did not increase to fill that extra leisure time, possibly because of, quote, issues around attention span or difficulty staying focused. I mean, yes, absolutely. Understandably so.
Yeah.
Difficulties getting books because of retail closures and library closures was another factor that could account for the lack of increase in reading despite an increase in leisure time. Roughly the same number of Canadians were reading at the same frequency in 2020 as in 2019, Booknet says, with 53% of those surveyed saying that they read or listened to a book at least weekly in 2020. Yeah, that's just like really interesting to me that you would think, oh, obviously with more time, people would read more. But then when you like really sit down and think about it, yeah, I can understand why you would have all of this fucking time, but be like, oh my god, I don't want to do anything with this time. I just want to curl up in a ball and cry. Like, especially last year, right?
Yeah, I think people have a huge issue with sitting still and doing a thing.
Yep, totally. I mean, listen, I've fucking worked in...
And I do sometimes, for sure. Like, I have to concentrate on it, but I also have, like, been doing meditation and yoga for many years, and I'm also like a poet.
That definitely
by
helps.
nature, someone who wants to sit and
Sit,
think.
exactly.
And it's still challenging for me sometimes.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I 1000% have long stretches of time where I will read like a book a month, you know, just because your interests wane, right? Like I'm always going to love literature. I'm always going to love books. I'm always going to love video games. I'm always going to love music. That doesn't mean that necessarily I need to read fucking 4 books a month. Sometimes, like it's just not possible, just mentally. But yeah, like
whenever I come back to reading,
oh,
if
it's so great.
A waning period in reading,
it's
and
so
I come
great.
back to it, I'm like, oh my god, reading is so amazing. That's where I am right now.
Yep.
Because I was really into my garden the past couple of months, like spending all my spare time setting up this garden in this new house.
Right.
And now I'm like, what do? I guess I sit and enjoy the
sit and
garden.
you sit and enjoy
and so
it.
I've been reading, sitting out there for hours.
Which is something. Sitting and enjoying things. It can also be hard sometimes, especially last year, right? Like especially last year. It makes sense. But the other thing I want to point out about this that like genuinely really surprised me in a positive way was 53% of those surveyed said that they read or listened to a book at least weekly in 2020. This sounds really cynical of me. I kind of expected that number to be lower. Like I'm genuinely really surprised by that.
So that's saying like these 50% of people surveyed read once a week. It's not they read a book a week. It's like they read once per week.
Totally. Read or listen to a book at least weekly. So yeah, it's not saying they finish a book or read a whole book in a week.
Yeah. Because that's quite a bit.
It is different.
Depending
it's totally
on what
different.
You're reading.
Yeah, but like honestly, even still, I was like, that's genuinely more encouraging than I thought it would be.
I'm not shaming. I'm just clarifying what that meant.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, they listen to an audiobook or no, I can't fucking do that. No. They listen to an audiobook or read.
I'm also like you said, I'm reading like 6 books at a time, so it takes a while to finish them.
So, are you one of those readers? See, I can't do that. I can only read a book at a time. I can't have multiple books going at a time. Can't do it.
My preferred is to have a book of poetry and a book of prose going on.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So I can choose.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, totally. That makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah.
It also makes sense. Totally. But I had an ex who worked at a library, so she obviously read books all the fucking time. Would come home with a new book every single fucking shift, basically. But I remember that she would have 3 fiction books going at one single time, and I was like, "How the fuck do you do that?" I would not be able to keep track. I would not be able to fucking keep track of it. It doesn't work.
Sometimes I have more than one poetry book going on at a time, like right now. But poetry you can hop in and out of more so than poetry, or more so than novels. You don't have to remember the plot.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no linear set path on a book of poetry, unless they had a very specific idea in mind. But yeah, you know when they have a specific kind of linear path for a book of poetry. But generally speaking, you just kind of go, I want to read that poem. I'm going to skip ahead 20 pages, read this poem, like so on and so forth. Yeah. So it's interesting. But I genuinely was like, oh, obviously more people have more time, so therefore they're going to read more. But apparently not. It's interesting.
I also really love the fact that it's increased in nonfiction and YA, because that is just like pandemic.
Yep.
Like
1000%.
Just like people have been educating themselves. I suspect it's probably a lot of like race things, education around like blackness and stuff.
Yep.
I definitely read more of that. Started reading that period, and I know a lot of other people did, and also total escapism.
Yep.
Like I heard there's this Twilight Renaissance last year.
Fuck it, why not? Or honestly, I bet a fuck ton of people, like this was also around the time that that fucking what's her face J.K. Rowling was really revealed to be an absolute fucking dirtbag. And I bet I bet that a lot of people.
It was not an appropriate reaction for transphobia. Sorry, I take
that
back.
No, that's but like also whoops, like
not. It's not oops. It's
like,
not a whoops.
It's
whoops
a big. It's
all of us.
It's a big fucking
like,
whoops. It's the biggest. It's literally the biggest whoops. She sucks. Also, if you're fucking lurking and you're a transphobe, get the fuck out, maybe.
Get out.
Because fuck you. But like I suspect I suspect in a way like that coming out probably sparked a lot of people to like reevaluate if they actually like Harry Potter, and they probably reread it.
Blasphemous.
Because like I mean, think about it. Like you're confronted with the fact that one of your like heroes and one of your fucking inspirations that got you into reading is a fucking dirtbag, and like you have to reconcile with that, right? And you also there's also the fact that you can like things and not like the human that created them, and that's fine.
I mean, I know a lot of writers. I could have told you that before.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. I mean, we know a lot of people that are dirtbag people that are good fucking writers, and luckily enough, we also know a lot of people that are good people. Yeah, that's a big oops. We also, luckily enough, know a lot of people who are genuinely good people and also very good writers. I think it's very easy to.
I think the shitty people are in the minority. At least that's how I have to go through the world.
I was
that, actively shitty people. We all have our biases and we all have our blind spots for sure. But I think actively shitty people are the minority.
Especially like we've been shit talking Canadian literature a little bit, but like I will fucking say honestly, there's a reason I've been in it for 8 years, right? Like the vast majority of people in this community, in this profession, in this whatever the fuck you want to call it, like they're really fucking good people. It's just sometimes
who want to celebrate each other, who want to see other people succeed.
Exactly. It's just sometimes, unfortunately, the really shitty ones can either A, be the loudest, or B, have the biggest platform, and you just have, or C, are the whitest, which goes hand in hand with those other two, and you just have to like work around it and fucking just do the best you can do to tell those people to fuck off. Yeah. But yeah, I just found that really fucking interesting because, like I said, you would maybe expect more reading, but I get it, and also it's nice to see. Okay, there wasn't as much reading as you would maybe expect, but people were reading more broadly, and that's cool.
Yeah,
BookNet is a fascinating thing.
I think
honestly.
that has to do with like slowing down.
Yeah, totally. That's a fair point, right? That was a great opportunity to just like
I want to expand my horizons. I learned to sew.
Yep.
I'm also back on that train right now.
Fuck yeah, that's fucking awesome. Yeah, I like people baked people. I mean, I got into fucking Twitch.
Oh yeah, people baked.
Fucking A. Yeah. It's cool shit though. It's interesting. But last one, so Wattpad launches its own adult imprint. This is via Publishers Weekly.
Honestly, I'm shocked that they hadn't already. That's really shocking.
I know, right? Another thing I didn't know, they're Canadian.
But a lot of these,
I had no clue they were Canadian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Me neither.
But yeah, sorry. I
a lot of these services, like fan fiction services, are like they try to police sexuality so hard, or like erotica so hard. It's like it's 50% of what people do. Yeah, writing fan fiction is
way more than 50%. Way more than 50%. But yeah, it's yeah. So it's called W. It's a new adult imprint that will publish a series of books based on popular stories. There's your ASMR.
Welcome to W.
Oh, that's definitely how they're gonna fucking market it with a trailer and all that other shit. So that will publish a series of books based on popular stories that originated on Wattpad. The initial focus is on commercial and romance fiction. Of course it is. Obviously.
Yep.
It started publishing YA novels in 2019 and has published 36 titles since then.
Wait. They're a publisher?
Yeah, starting in 2019, they started doing fucking YA novels, which I didn't know until reading the story.
Oh my god, you sent this to me before.
Yeah.
And I totally did not comprehend.
I didn't know they were a YA publisher until honestly reading this article. Which this I also find really interesting. It uses its internal database of information to highlight popular stories on the site, which are then developed for publication. So it doesn't necessarily pick it doesn't necessarily pick the best. Like it just picks
the ones that'll sell.
Exactly, it picks the most popular. First W.
I mean, they're a commercial publisher.
I mean, exactly.
I would not expect a single thing less.
No, exactly. Yeah, don't be like, don't go looking for your fucking literary fucking fiction from W or whatever the YA imprint is called. There's a couple books, blah 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 blah. So there's this book by somebody named Beth Reekles. But what I find fucking fascinating is she had a book published by Wattpad before when she was only 15 years old, and the book subsequently got turned.
Erotic?
Yeah, the fucking book got subsequently turned into a Netflix movie.
She wrote an erotic fiction
when she was 15,
and now it's a Netflix movie.
Yeah, it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, right. So she wrote this fucking book for Wattpad. It got picked up when she was 15, and then it got turned into a Netflix movie. It's fucking nuts. I will give them some. Right. Fuck it. I will give them some credit. 4 more titles will follow, including romance novels by somebody named Tamara Lish, as well as a book called Out of His League by Caroline A. Richardson, the LGBTQIA plus paranormal romance led by Lead Me Astray by Sandy Warner. So, you know what? Fucking A. The fact that there's going to be an LGBTQIA plus paranormal romance book, fuck it. Sure. Like, why not? I mean, whatever. Cool.
I mean, are we surprised? Like, I'm sure 80% of Wattpad is just making Twilight gay.
Oh, yeah, 1000%. 1000%. It's just fun.
I mean, the weird thing is, I feel like I'm one of the only writers who didn't, like, also
do like fan fiction?
Shitty fan fiction, like embarrassing writing. I didn't, but you know what I did do? I didn't write it, but I used to go on thesims2.com.
I like it already.
And there was like a stories forum where you could upload a screenshot and text, and people would tell a whole story in The Sims 2, and
that was extremely your shit.
So many of those.
It
was so my shit. I would watch the whole multi-generational family dramas play out.
That is such a specific and weird fucking like corner of the internet. I fucking love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I was like, I didn't do fan fiction. I wasn't on Tumblr, but I did do this arguably weirder thing.
I mean, listen, like whatever. I'll fuck it out myself. I never wrote fan fiction, but I 1000% used to fucking like role play on message boards and fucking like chat rooms and all that bullshit. Because of course I did. Because
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did it on Habbo Hotel.
Oh fuck yeah, you did. Nice. Because of course you did. Because you were a child of the fucking late 90s and mid 2000s. Like of course you did. Like obviously.
Do you think Habbo Hotel still exists?
Let's look it up right now. Let's fucking.
I think we need to look it up.
Let's see. I'm nearly positive it does.
We are conducting the rest of the podcast
via Habbo Hotel. Yep. Not was an online community aimed at teens and young adults, is an online community aimed at teens and young adults. So it still exists.
Yes.
That's fucking nuts.
I loved that shit.
Holy shit. I did not know that Habbo Hotel came out in 2000. That's when it started. Habbo Hotel in America can legally drink. That's how old it is. That's fucking nuts. That is fucking bonkers. Man, that's crazy to think about.
I love that shit so fucking much.
Yeah, I know, right? Here's my only question about the Wattpad thing. or not so much a question, but a comment and worry. I really hope they're getting paid really well. My worry is that there's like some.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, any commercial publisher could absolutely fuck their clients.
Is my worry is especially that like, and I'm saying this without any proof, but like my worry is that there's some kind of weird legalese in Wattpad's fucking like terms and conditions where the second you publish on Wattpad, like that becomes theirs and they don't have to pay you, or they have to pay you considerably less than say you went through the like quote unquote traditional means of publishing and you took your fucking manuscript to Penguin Random House and they were like, well, this is going to sell a bajillion copies. Here's all the money ever. You know what I mean? Like I'm worried that these people are getting fucked over, and like that sucks. Cause yeah, that sucks. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. It's just it's fucking bonkers, and you forget how big Wattpad is until you see a story like this.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, oh shit, it has its own fucking adult imprint, has published 36 books in the last year and a half, and like it's launching commercial and romance fiction. Like, yep, obviously.
Do they is it physical books or is it ebooks?
That it didn't say in the article, so I don't know yet.
Just curious.
Probably both.
Just curious.
Probably both. It's hard to say. I mean, like, so the article has covers for books, but I don't. But you know, you can obviously make covers for ebooks. So I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Because the other thing too.
I would assume it would be mainly ebooks because
Me too.
if your audience is used to reading on a screen,
and you can just integrate that right into Wattpad, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wattpad books. Wattpad books. Let's books at Wattpad. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is I'm looking. I'm not seeing. Like, I'm obviously seeing a bunch of books because they publish a fuck ton of books. I'm not seeing anywhere on a Google search, like say for example, when you look for say Penguin Random House books, the first result obviously is going to be their website, but like
Indigo or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to find Indigo. You're not going to find Amazon. You're not going to find bookstores. So I don't know. Let's fucking do. Ooh, here you go. One of the books they published is called I'm a Gay Wizard, which you love to see. Okay, no, okay. All right. Okay.
Literally my D&D campaign.
So I'm a Gay Wizard came out in October 29th, 2019. I found it on Indigo in paperback. So they do. Yeah, okay.
Yo!
There you go.
Can you send it to me?
I can 1000%.
I'm intrigued.
Also, again, like, credit to Wattpad, there's a fuck ton of representation. There's a fuck ton of representation here. Like,
I mean, that's what you get with people writing fanfiction,
queer
and DIY
run
shit.
Yeah, DIY shit. Like, V.S. Santoni is the author of I'm a Gay Wizard. He's a Latinx non-binary guy who spends way too much time daydreaming. Like, there you go. Like, yeah, it's totally like that. Wattpad is fucking weird, but it, you know what? Honestly, awesome.
I love the weirdness though.
Yeah, the fucking A. Like,
yeah, like I said, I wasn't into it as a teenager, and I'm not getting into it now.
Yeah, it was like slightly too late for me, but like
long form YouTube documentaries on like fan fiction, on fan communities, on Tumblr. Like, I feel like I almost did participate in it because I've watched so many of these videos.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's a interesting fucking thing. Yeah, that's all the news. How are you doing for a pee break? Are you good? Do you want to keep going? Do you need a pee break? What do you need?
I think I'm good.
All right, cool.
I can always pee though.
I mean, fair enough. Just don't do it on Twitch because that is definitely against TOS. But let's.
God damn it! They're always trying to keep me down.
I know, right? Always trying to fucking keep you down, policing your fucking piss. It's ridiculous, ridiculous. But so let's get into a little bit about how you got into like literature, how you got into literature, and on top of that, by extension, how you got into bookmaking, and like what's your process of making books, of writing, that type of stuff.
I changed my mind. I want to pee.
Okay, we can do that. That's fine by me.
You talked about peeing, and then
I broke the fucking seal.
Be like,
it happens.
I could go for a pee right now.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you broke my seal mentally.
All right, cool. We'll be back in like a handful of minutes.
An awful sentence.
That's kind of the worst, but you know, here we are. We'll be back in a handful of minutes, and we'll talk a little bit more. All right, cool. We'll see you in just a minute.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, friends. Welcome back. How are you? Hope you're good.
Wow. Well, I asked you to wait for me to finish eating. That's rude.
Yep. Didn't even give a shit. Listen. This is also a fucking mukbang stream. So I wonder if we put.
I'm giving him shit.
I wonder if we.
Them? Wait. What are your pronouns? I don't even know.
He, they. I wonder if we put. I wonder if we put mukbang in the fucking tags, if we would, what would happen there? Anyway, fucking, what were we talking about? Writing and books and such. Yeah, so before we got to the break, we said we were going to talk a little bit about just like how you got into reading, how you got into writing, and then by extension, how you got into bookmaking, and like what's the process of all of that stuff. So, yeah, I know that's kind of a broad question, but you know. What were you like? How do I put this? What, not even necessarily what got you into reading, but like how do you remember your like of reading and writing, getting into like love of reading and writing, and being like, this needs to be the thing that I do.
Well, I think I'm just very stubborn.
Fair enough.
And so, like, when I remember getting I was always just, like, constant creative output as a kid and as into teenage years as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what made it for me was just, like, I remember writing, like, my angsty poetry.
Of course. Who didn't?
And then I was like, well, I'm just going to double down on this. I was like, this is what I like to do.
I love being angsty. Yeah, totally.
But as a teenager, I was also writing plays.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, I'm a poet, so have I changed my mind? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote plays as part of this like organization.
Right.
I was in classics club. So we
that's a club and a half.
Like a classical scholar.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yup. It's a classical scholar at our regular ass public school who taught 3 years of Latin plus a year of archaeology. So I took all of that.
That's honestly so fucking cool. That's really interesting. So
there's this organization, I assume, is still all that. There are these classics clubs all around Ontario, and once a year we would all get together at Brock University, and there were sports, arts, and academic competitions.
Mm-hmm.
And our school like fucked off with academics and sports, but we literally crushed it at creative every year. We got like first place in like all of the categories, and one of them was play. So for a couple of years there, I wrote and directed these plays.
Did you ever do
they were just like 10-minute plays.
Right. Did you ever do the Sears Drama Festival in high school?
Oh, I remember that. No, I didn't do it, but I remember it being a thing.
Yep, that's where I totally got into like theater and acting and all that bullshit. So I before I went to university for English and like got into publishing, I went to Humber for their comedy program. And doing the Sears Drama Festival like that was a big part of it, because that I never performed in anything, but I like did a bunch of stage managing, and that's where I was like, oh shit, you know what I really like is not so much the like performing part of all this shit, but all the behind the scenes stuff, all the like the production part of it. And I think in a weird way, that's what kind of...
Well, I kind of did all of those aspects.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's...
Because it was such a small play.
Exactly. And for me, that's what like almost kind of made... For me doing that and knowing the like behind the scenes and the work that goes into the production of theater, that in a weird way got me interested in like the production of books, right? Because I was like, well, I know I love books, I know I love reading, I know I love writing, but these books just don't fucking appear out of thin air. Like there is a process to it, right? So at least for me, I had just like always been really interested in the process of a lot of shit. So it just like kind of naturally made sense that I went from one to the other, that I was like, well, I like books. Let's learn about the process of making books.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even reading was such a tactile experience for me.
Yeah, totally.
That that I like the making of books is also an amazingly tactile experience for me. Like I like to do like these really beautiful stitched spines and things. So like I pretty much never make a stapled book. Like for me, like I love the sewing aspect of it.
Yeah.
And now I do cross stitch and knitting and all this stuff, but my first kind of sewing experience was bookmaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like the book as an object, like that is something that is always the book as a collection of words and ideas is awesome, right? But like there's also a physical thing that houses those words and ideas, and like the book as an object, the book as a tactile is a perfect word, as a tactile thing, is it's so fascinating and cool to me, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun working with that shit. It's so fucking fun.
Well, I just printed. So I'm a risograph printer at Concordia.
Can you explain what risograph
we have this,
is for people who don't know?
Oh yeah. So it's like screen printing, where you're pressing ink through a screen, but it all takes place within this machine, the risograph, which just looks like a photocopier.
Yeah.
But it has these ink drums in it. And so it digitally, you can either scan on top like a photocopier, or you can send an image to it, and it burns those into the screen, and then the paper rolls under the screen, and it presses the ink through it.
It's fucking cool as hell.
That's the risograph.
It's
you can make really gorgeous art on it, but it's cool as hell.
It's also a finicky.
You can make gorgeous art on it, but you can also make really good. Yeah, I mean, I've been working with her, Laura, for almost 6 years, and I'm still learning all the time.
Right? Yeah.
But and like still just fiddling.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
Just that you can also like it's still used very much in institutions, because you can very cheap, like the machine itself is expensive, but you can very cheaply print a large amount.
Yes, exactly.
Of items.
Yeah.
So it actually first got famous through its use in like fuck, what are they called? Like revolutionary posters, like
shit.
Countercultural posters in the 60s and 70s. So there's a kind of classic aesthetic that goes along with the risograph in that sense.
Totally. So you were Concordia, that's what you're talking about. Before I interrupted.
Yeah, so I guess the way I got started, the way I got started was in my undergrad at York, with David Goldstein. He was teaching us all about chapbooks. And I just I really took to it.
It's because they're fucking cool.
He had us make a chapbook optionally.
Oh, cool.
I think you could. He taught us a bit about chapbook culture.
Right.
In Canada and publishing, but then he also for our final submission, I think maybe you got like, I don't know, you would get like an extra 1% or something on your final project if you made a chapbook out of your submission.
That's
so true. It wasn't like necessary, but I think he was just encouraging us to try it out.
Right.
And then I started a micropress after that, publishing some of my classmates, and I really focused on like the book object as well as you do. The book object as being representational of the text. Like, right. I really enjoyed doing that, and I still work on books in that same way, and that still gives me great pleasure to make an introduction. If someone picks up a book in a bookstore, I want the physicality of the book to be an introduction to what you can expect inside.
Right. Yeah, that's a really great way of looking at it. Right? It's not just a bunch of paper and a fucking thing that surrounds the paper, and then here's your words. Like, yeah, exactly. It's people like the cliche is a cliche for a reason, right? Like a cover, blah blah blah, cover something 1,000 words, whatever the fuck the cliche is.
Well, ironically, I do want you to judge the book by its cover.
Exactly. Yeah, and people will. So like, make that fucking cover good. You know, like make the whole book
I am
as an
so
object
worried
good.
About publishing like my first book of poetry.
Oh, and
not liking the cover.
Yep.
I'd be like, you might as well fucking throw out the book.
Yeah, totally. And I have known a good handful of books that are fucking incredible, but the cover art is hot trash. And
yep,
it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. And yeah, and I think the other thing too, like this is coming from my perspective of I always grew up really fucking poor. So like I'm very much of the opinion that like, oh, you're fucking spending like $20 on this book. If it's more expensive, especially if it's like a very fucking fancy book with either a lot of color, or B, a lot of photographs, or both, or just any kind of fancy ass shit. It's like you're spending a lot of money on this, you know? Like $20 doesn't seem like a lot, but like it kind of can be. And like
when you add up, like,
yeah, exactly. Like I want,
if you're someone who keeps up with like contemporary poetry or whatever, you can drop like $200-$300 per season.
Yeah, like when Pivot was running in person, that was running every other week, I would easily drop anywhere between $20 to $80 every 2 weeks on books. Like that shit adds up, you know? That's like nearly $200 a month on just books, on top of like just.
And then we were just talking about books. How much we're actually able to read.
Yeah,
like how many books in this room
have you not read?
Not read yet?
Yeah, totally. You know what's a fun game? Is look at your fucking bookshelves and go through every single book, see if you've read them, and then like add up what is the percentage of this bookshelf that I've actually actively fucking read. Especially if you are in this community, no matter how fucking hard you try, it's probably at tops 50%, because it's just you can't read all those fucking books.
Well, I think I'm like maybe the only person who does this, which is shocking to me. But I keep my unread books separate from my read books.
Oh, that is
like
really
on a
fucking
separate
smart.
Shelf.
That is really fucking smart. That's brilliant.
Like it doesn't compute to me to put them onto the main bookshelf until I've read them.
Right. Yeah.
So I have half my poetry collection over there that's not read, and half of it here that I have read. Because I want to be able, when I want to read a new book, I want to be able to go to the shelf and be like, here are all the books you can read.
That's really fucking smart.
It's never occurred to me to put it all together.
I've weirdly never.
But I think everyone else does.
Yeah, exactly. It's never occurred to me to have a separate fucking bookshelf for shit I haven't read yet. Yeah, that's actually really smart. Yeah, so like what is the actual, we'll break it down into several parts, I guess. What is the process for publishing not publishing. What's the process for actually printing a risograph book? Like, what does that look like?
Well, if I'm handling the whole process, like, because I can, because I taught myself to.
Fuck yeah.
From having a micro press. So I'll like do the layout. Well, first thing you need to do is the book design.
Yeah. Which that's a whole
have
other
your concept of what the finished book is going to look like.
That's a whole other thing, right? Like that's a whole other art in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean that gets me going. I love.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's meticulous and annoying, but it's great.
Yeah, and then I get into the physical layout.
Mm-hmm.
So like at that point you can like buy your paper, do your layout, and then I'll, if it's more artistic, like with multiple colors and things like that,
right.
Then I have to go into Photoshop and do like color separation and all this stuff because the risograph prints one color at a time.
Yes, so yeah, that's a big thing.
So if you want a photorealistic image, you need to print 4 layers.
Yeah, that's a big thing,
right?
About risograph
like red,
printing.
Yellow, blue, black.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. But
I'm not a huge fan of doing photorealistic pieces. Like, I think the cool thing about the risograph is like strong color blocking and like intentional overlaps.
Totally, because yeah, I see what you mean.
I did on one of my last things that I did, which was this magazine on softness, and I did the author photos, photo realistic, which was tough to get it all lined up because you have to exactly align all 4. That's the hardest part.
Fuck. Yeah.
So some of them are a bit blurry, but the ones that are perfectly aligned, are like fucking beautiful.
Yeah, risograph, that's the thing. It's a finicky little motherfucker in every single way, but it produces.
But so am I, so I love it.
Fair enough. But yeah, like it produces some. Just like you said, like the boldness of color. You can't really pull that off any other way. Like it's fucking cool.
And taking photographs of risograph, you cannot. It's frustrating. You can't capture how beautifully vivid the colors.
You have to see it and hold it in person. You have to really see it, and that's the other thing too. Especially on Twitch, and I fucking love so much that you stream when you're in the office and you're doing risograph printing. It's really fucking cool.
I've made a setup where I can actually stream myself doing riso printing.
Yeah, and if you are in the chat, if you are watching this later, like check out one of Jess's fucking Twitch streams where she's streaming the fucking risograph printing because it's really, really neat. It's really, really, really cool to see. But I will say,
and I've made like I film myself kind of at the computer so I can talk to you guys, but then I also do a second camera that's like over
an overhead shot,
where the images come out, where the paper comes out.
Yeah, totally.
So you can see what I'm printing.
And
I'm pretty happy. It took me a minute to like get set up.
I would imagine.
I'm happy with how I have it now.
But I will say the only thing is that, like you said, like I appreciate the process of it, watching you do it, and I still can tell like this looks fucking awesome. But like you're literally watching a compressed stream via Twitch. Like you're not getting that real like eye-popping fucking like vividness that you're gonna get if you see the physical thing in person, and you don't get to see how the colors, like you said, like kind of bleed together and like work with one another, but also contrast in this really interesting, cool way. It's really neat.
Like my risograph books and prints and things sell so much better when I'm tabling than online.
Yeah, 1000%, absolutely. Yeah,
and I take the best pictures that I can, but it like, just doesn't show
exactly
how awesome they are.
Speaking of tabling, like we're pivoting a little bit, but I want to talk about this because I find it really interesting. I guess it's a 2-part question. One, how have you found not tabling over the last like year? And 2, I guess maybe talk a little bit about like just the experience of tabling at places and like what it does for you, the artist / writer. Because I think it's a vital, it's so fucking important to our culture. and our community is tabling.
Yeah.
That stuff.
And to clarify, like tabling means like sitting at a table.
Yes, sorry,
books.
Literally sitting at a table,
like at a book market,
at a book fair, at an arts market, something like that. Yeah, like exactly. It literally means you sit at a table.
Like, it doesn't have to be books.
No, not at all.
Like you can sell whatever knitted thing you're selling.
Yep.
Candles, whatever.
Prints, fucking.
If it's more of a craft fair.
Yeah, prints, like knitting, t-shirts, whatever the fuck, stickers. Like I've seen fucking everything. But yeah, tabling literally means you're sitting at a table hawking your fucking wares. Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, my shit sells so much better when I table than online. So I guess I've missed it in that regard. Because I think all of my things in general, you just see like how gorgeous they are in person when you can touch them and interact with them.
Totally.
Whereas online, I get more custom orders.
Okay.
So I've been getting orders to do like book design, printing,
right,
and book production.
Right. That makes sense.
And yeah, so my stock has just kind of been sitting here, unfortunately.
Good times.
But I don't know. I haven't like actively missed it because I really enjoy being alone.
Also fair.
But I will enjoy it when I go back to it.
When you can finally go back. I will say.
I really enjoy tabling.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big part of community.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah, absolutely. You can't as much
I don't get to see my people anymore.
No, and as much as and we'll talk about it in a minute. As much as I definitely want the publishing community and just like the bookmaking community to grow more online, and I think something like Twitch can really fucking help. At the end of the day, like it still is about the tactility of stuff, right? It still is about the physicality of a book, and you can't, as hard as you try, you can't translate that to online. In the same way that you can physically pick up a book, that you can physically knit a fucking book, and that like you can physically. Another great example is like physically take a workshop so that you get to actually experience what it's like to put together a book with the physical help and assistance and guidance of somebody who knows what they're fucking doing.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I like about Twitch is that it's at least a gesture for me towards like teaching people.
Totally.
Like I want to, obviously when I get into the rhythm of it, I'm not talking constantly about what I'm doing. Like I'm usually chit-chatting with chat. But if someone's like, hey, what are you doing? Or how did you do that? Like I love educating people on it. So where I work at Concordia, the Center for Expanded Poetics, I've been a coordinator there for going on 6 years. And I fucking love that job because I get to give free workshops to people. You don't even have to be a student.
Nice.
I get to like do all of this really cool free programming with people. And I miss that a lot. And so Twitch is kind of like my way of still doing that because I really believe that education shouldn't be behind any kind of a paywall.
Totally. 1000%.
And so like people can support me if they want to through subscriptions, which I always super appreciate. But you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And like and that's great because let me tell you, this community can feel very gatekeepy in a lot of ways, and if you can break that down in any way by just being like, listen, you don't fucking have to pay for this shit, it's great. Good. Especially because like there's so many
communities do you mean?
Oh, like publishing specifically. Especially because like there's totally. So many fucking workshops that are just like, what if you pay $200 and we'll teach you how to fucking write for this handful of weeks or whatever the fuck, and you're like, great, I guess. Like I'm by no means against people getting paid for their time, obviously. Like but you know, there's also a sense of it can get to a point where I'm like, okay, how much money is this person making to make ends meet, and how much is this exploiting people just because they have enough disposable income to throw at workshops that might not actually do anything for them, you know? And And there's a difference between those two things.
I mean, that's why I don't think I would super love to teach paid workshops like that. I probably could, but I just don't really have the desire to.
No, that's fair. I think, I mean, when I ran them, it was always a sliding scale. I was like, listen.
Totally. That's
like,
how I would do it, for sure.
Because, like, and to be fair, like, we also have to acknowledge, like, you do have the privilege of working at Concordia, and you do have that, like, the backing of an institution in which you can afford to say, listen, this is free because I work at an institution that makes this possible. But yeah, like, and that's the thing. It's like, make that shit a fucking sliding scale so that people can afford it. Make fucking account for the fact that some people aren't going to be able to afford what you want to afford it. That's okay. What's up?
A couple of old people, they walked, like an older couple, walked all the way this way and all the way that way, and I really couldn't tell if they were looking at my garden or if they were looking at my defund the police sign.
Nice. You'll love to see it.
I was just like, what are you doing there?
They're just chilling. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, like
he started looking at me through the window. Scary.
That's when you close the fucking window. That's when you yeet the window out the window. But I totally agree, and I feel the same way. Where I miss, I definitely miss like fucking in-person tabling, and I definitely miss in-person fairs and stuff like that. But you know what I don't fucking miss is getting ready for them. Holy fuck, that was always so stressful. I fucking hated that shit. That shit was so stressful.
I don't miss going to them and coming home.
Yeah, that's fair.
Picking up my boxes and putting them and trying not to damage your shit.
Oh my god.
And moving it.
Okay, so I have the best worst story. So okay, no, this didn't happen at my table, luckily enough. But there was one time where I was tabling at Meet the Presses, which for those that don't know, Meet the Presses is a little like independent. Oh, it is a classic. It's a little market that the Meet the Presses collective puts on every year, and it gets a bunch of independent presses and micro presses from around the country, as well as like northern US. Like I think there's a couple presses from like Buffalo that come in, and like New York that have come in a couple times. But yeah, it's just like a bunch of micro presses and independent presses coming together to sell a bunch of shit, as well as award the BP Nickel Chapbook Award as well. But yeah, one year, so I was just sitting there, man in the fucking booth, just fucking doing the shit you do at a fair like that, and then I see somebody, chatting with people, just fucking shooting the shit, looking at your phone on Twitter and shit, like standard shit you do at a fair like that.
I usually knit.
Ooh, that's a good choice. Yep. Or sometimes you're also just like literally making fucking books.
Yeah, making books.
Like you're literally stabbing holes through fucking spines and making books in person right there in real time.
I wish I could do that more, but like I need more space.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess it depends on how big or small you're making them. But so table across from me, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody that had fucking beautiful fucking books. And somebody walks up and starts looking around at them, and they put their coffee down on the table, and then their elbow just like fucking, they basically just like kind of, I think, yeah, it was in the winter because the BP Nickel Chapbook Award thing and Meet the Presses always happens in November. So everybody is obviously wearing big fucking bulky coats, and this person has a big fucking bulky coat on, and they like go to swivel and move to the next fucking table, but they didn't pick up their coffee, and they knocked over their fucking coffee all over the entire fucking table and ruined, like, I feel like at least 5 or 6 piles of like a considerable amount of fucking books. Like I think all told,
hundreds of dollars of
yeah,
books, probably.
all told, I think it was something like $200 worth of books, probably like 150 to $200 worth of books. Which, to keep that in perspective, that's generally speaking at Meet the Presses, that's like a really solid day
Like
of
$10
sales.
a book.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like $10 a book. That's like a really solid day of sales. That's like your entire day almost. Like, yeah, it was fucking painful to watch. I felt bad for everybody involved.
Did they pay for it?
They did. I will give them a lot of credit. They paid for it. But I felt so bad
that's good.
for everybody involved because, like, fucking A, what do you do there? It's you literally ruined the thing. Like, you can't. It's a book, and you spilled fucking coffee on it.
Get one shot with a book.
Yeah, you spilled coffee on a book. Like, it's done. It's fucking done. So yeah.
I've had people put their coffee down on my table, and I'm immediately like, "Can you pick that up, please?"
Yep. Yeah, the second I saw that, I was like, "Cool, nobody's ever coming here with a coffee ever again. Fuck you, absolutely not."
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's your biggest fucking worry. Is that shit, or your other worry is
I've never had anyone complain about it.
No,
it's like, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't
it makes
thinking."
sense. It makes
but
sense.
Better safe than sorry.
Your other big worry is as you're carrying the books to whatever place you're going, the fucking box just like bottoms out and all your fucking books just fall everywhere. Luckily enough, I've never had that happen, but like I remember I would always be so fucking terrified that like the bags were gonna rip, the fucking boxes would fall apart, and there goes literal hundreds of dollars worth of shit.
I have a like a rolly cart that I use. So if I can, I just stack them up in there.
The old grandma
but,
cart.
You just have to watch for like. Yep. You gotta watch for like the dented corners.
Yep.
And there's some of my nicer books that have come to many fairs with me. Books that cost like $80 or something, like a really nice one-of-a-kind notebook.
Totally.
And they're starting to get in like a little bit rough shape from being carted around.
Yeah. That's a
not in bad condition.
Right.
But just like, they just have a little scuff and stuff.
Totally. That's the listen, books are made to be dog-eared and scuffed and highlighted and post-it noted and all that other shit. It's just when you're trying to sell it, that can be
that's after you sell it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we talked a little bit about like your actual process of actually making a book. What does your process of writing look like, as well as editing? Like, I'm really interested in that. Like, is it just like whenever I write, I'm like, I'm gonna write this all in one shot, and then I'm gonna stick it in a fucking drawer for 3 weeks, not fucking look at it, and then hate it, and then not look at it again for 3 weeks, and then finally like try and revise it.
Well, yeah, usually as soon as I write something, I'm like, I'm a fucking genius.
Yes, also I have that for about 5 seconds.
And then I come back to it, I'm like, what is this?
Totally. All right, so when you write, because I found this very different from very different writers. When you write, do you try and get that like quote unquote first draft all out in one kind of sitting, or do you just like poke at it and go, okay, here's a line, and then like forget about it for a week, and then go, okay, here's another line, and then you like kind of stitch together a first draft over time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. It's a mix of both. But lately it's been more of the latter because I'm working on specific pieces to slot into my manuscript. So I'm like, oh, this needs a little bit of this, a little bit of this.
Right, that makes sense.
So I'm not doing like the whole inspiration moment right now so much as I am gathering and pruning things. But yeah, typically when I'm like really in a writing mood or in a writing period, poems will come out like fully formed, more or less. And then there's a lot of editing and working on them. But often, my poems aren't super long, so they'll often come out all at once.
That's a fair point as well, right?
But I definitely go through seasons of writing more or less. So like right now I'm not writing.
Right.
But I want to get back to like editing and stuff. I just had a ton of bookmaking stuff on the go, but I want to get back to writing, editing more so.
I think
working on this book, and that is a big process of shaping and pruning, and like it's a new thing for me looking at something that's so big, you know, like 60 pages and being or more, and being like, okay, what does this need? What is there too much of?
Yeah. And then
that's
also
hard to do. And that's where working with an editor at a publishing house will come in, I'm sure.
And that's the other thing too, is at least I remember when I had finally finished my manuscript, and honestly I didn't even finish it to necessarily go, oh, I want to put this out in the world and get this published. I like honestly mostly finish it because I was like, I want to finish this thing and have a finished manuscript just to like say that I put in this work and did it. But what I found really, really interesting through that process of editing it was you're no longer just editing a piece as a standalone thing. You are then editing a piece within the context of the whole manuscript. And you're like, that's a similar editing process, but it is different. And you like, it takes a really interesting part of your brain to be like, okay, this piece is working as it is, but is it like working in conversation with the rest of the manuscript? And that's
and my manuscript is very like self-referential in that it has two distinct halves to it.
Right.
Like the first half of the book was written 7 or 8 years ago in a time of intense grieving and caring for my grandfather in palliative care. And then the second half is written more recently with a totally new relationship with death, informed by witchcraft, informed by cycles of rebirth, and also like breaking down the stark divides between my ideas of what is alive and what is dead.
Okay. And it's also just like,
so the book, like there are poems which are kind of like quote unquote rewritten. So poems in the first and second half have the same titles.
Okay, cool.
Even phrases will repeat. Like I kind of realized this. I was rereading the first half of my manuscript recently, and there's a really stark phrase in one of them that just says our future. And just as its own sentence. And then there's a poem in the second half called The Future, which maybe I'll even change to Our Future.
Right.
So there's a lot of resonances, intentional and unintentional.
Right. And like that's a really interesting process, right? And I think the other thing too, it's a really interesting process coming back to a piece like 7 to 8 years later and not only looking through it looking through it in the lens of like I have a different relationship now with death, but also just like who am I as a fucking person and a writer and all that other shit. And that's like,
there's definitely an insecure kind of desire to go in and deep edit some of those pieces from the first half.
Right, totally.
But I got some really good advice from, I did go to Banff. I did go to the Banff Center eventually, and I worked with Aisha Sassajohn, who's an amazing writer.
Aisha Sassajohn is fucking incredible.
And she was like, you just like have to let past pieces be.
Yes.
She's amazing.
Absolutely. And I think
and she's like, yeah, I think she said she'd written like 8 books or something and has only published 2.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like, and I think that's something that we do as writers, and I get it, is we're so easy to push away our like past selves, so to speak. And especially when you're just like say you have writing from when you're like fucking 22 and then you look at it when you're 32 and you're just like, you cringe at it, right? You're like, oh fucking, there's no way this was good. But like, even if the craft isn't as strong, like the feelings are still fucking like valid. The experience is still important, and
totally.
Honestly, in a way,
the thing about these poems is that like they're doing broken things. They're about brokenness, and so they're quite broken.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I don't want to fuck with the brokenness of them.
No, totally. I
if
totally
I went in and
understand.
tried to make them polished, it wouldn't make sense.
I think the other thing too, it's like young or inexperienced or of a certain like almost mindset or especially like grieving period, right? Like that to a lot of people I think can be synonymous with bad, and it's like no, it's just a different time, you know? Like it doesn't it's just a different time and a different experience. And yes, honestly, like
That's
thinking,
actually something I'm doing right now, is going through my journals from that time,
oh
which is
man,
really hard.
that's
But
something.
yeah.
That's got to be something.
But there's a lot of gems in there that I've even
Exactly.
integrated some bits into the poems I'm writing now, because I can't just evoke what it felt like to grieve.
Yeah, right?
Like, it doesn't
Exactly.
stay with you as presently as it needs to in order to write it.
It shifts,
To
it
write it well.
morphs, like yeah, exactly. And like the to me at least, like the experience, the like I don't want to say rawness, but the like the
It was
the
raw.
yeah, I would fucking bet. Like the immediacy, right? The immediacy and the rawness of that experience, like I think it is very important to not necessarily just leave it as it is and never edit it, but acknowledge, like, yes, I wrote this 7 years ago. I don't want to fuck with it too much because exactly, like you lose something in it. You lose something in
And it
over
makes me
polishing.
more comfortable because that is something the manuscript is doing.
Right.
I think I would probably be more insecure about it if I was just trying to write one cohesive manuscript, for sure. I think I would go back and polish more.
1000%. And yeah, that like distinction between here are two very distinct, clear parts. Like there's literally a division. It's like, well, yeah, that allows that room to for you to not, how do I put this? For you to not have to like worry too much about going, oh, this has to fucking be like perfect and polished and like pristine. Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah.
Some really good advice I got from my mentor in my master's degree, Stephanie Bolster. She said, like, I was really worried about things not going together in what I was working on at the time. And she's like, well, you have written all these things, so they're all gonna go together. Like,
yes.
You will accidentally or unconsciously have a style or put things or talk about certain things that your writing is always gonna suit your writing.
Totally, exactly. And the other thing too, it's like
so you don't need to worry about like over sculpting it.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, like you said, it is literally the job of an editor at a publishing house to be able to bring things that seemingly might be disparate together, right? And be able to go, here's how you can make them connect a little bit better without like losing the intent and the what makes that thing from 7-8 years ago what it is compared to what the second half of the manuscript is, right? You know, without just making them like homogenous and the same, because you know there's something interesting in that division. I think that's really fucking cool.
Exactly.
Word. Cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about just why you started getting on Twitch and kind of why you started Twitch, what you want to get out of it, what your community goals are, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it where I started because of my friend Fromighty1, who I would totally recommend checking out. He's fucking hilarious. He's like a variety streamer and plays some retro games and stuff. So he's super fun. And I got into it because through him, he was like, yeah, people make art on here. Like, what? And so I started looking around.
So it blew your tiny
fucking
mind.
amazing streamers.
Yep.
Like, it blew my little top off. Blew my socks right off. So I found like Cryomira, Lanny Ho does woodcuts. Cryomira does amazing illustration.
Woodcutting's so fucking cool.
Koi Ghost is another one I love. Yeah.
There's somebody in the community named
and I was like, fuck, I want to do this.
Yeah. There's somebody in the community named the Blarg, which is a great fucking name. They're also actually in Montreal, funny enough. But she does pyrography, which is like wood burning. It's so fucking neat. it's so fucking neat. She's really cool. But yeah, just shout out to the blog because she's rad.
Oh,
and she
Pink
does...
Epoxy is really cool too.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you were exposed to the side of Twitch that is not video games, and you were like, oh shit, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
I absolutely loved it. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is for me. Because for years, I've been like, should I do YouTube videos? But I don't have any desire to like edit videos.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Or it's like, should I have a Patreon? But I don't know, it didn't feel quite right. And I was like, this brings together like those two aspects.
Right.
As well as being much less, it's like lower stakes video making because you're just hanging out. You're not trying to make one polished thing.
Yep.
And I absolutely love it for that reason. That I can share skills, but I can also hang out with people, and we can also, like, it can be educational.
Right.
And like I'm making beautiful art, but it can also be silly and fun. And I in terms of how I represent myself different places online, I definitely feel the most actually myself when I'm Twitch streaming.
That's really interesting.
Like, I feel like you're getting a really authentic version of me on Twitch.
That's really interesting. But yeah, fair. I mean, yeah, I get it. Like, that's a really good point. Like, I would, like, if I were doing YouTube, for example, I bet I would cut out a lot of fucking instances where I'm just being like, fuck, shit, balls, ass, fuck, you know? Because, like, yeah, obviously you would, but on here, I'm just like, what fucking ever, dude? Like, people are...
Yeah, and I think like because I don't really know about Twitch, I just jumped on and was like, "Here
it's great
I am."
Yeah, it's great.
Then
that you
I didn't learn what the conventions of Twitch are really.
And honestly, like
I'm just being myself.
It's fucking, as weird as it sounds, like I think it is, at least when you're starting out, it is so much more advantageous to not really have any fucking clue what you're doing and just fucking wing it and just fucking be like, okay, I know what I like, and this is what I'm gonna do. And like I've been like saying as we've been talking, is Twitch is fucking massive, right? Like, you're going to find your people.
I forget how fucking huge it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you are going to find your people will find you. You don't need to worry so much about like doing it quote unquote right, because like,
yeah, like I jumped in hard with like I wanted to get everything set up, and I was streaming a ton, and then I chilled out more about it.
Totally.
But like I got everything set up, and now I can chill out more about it.
Yes, 1000%. I understand that. Yeah, totally. I get what you mean. Yeah, and it's
like
just
I've basically got my setup. It takes me like 15 minutes to reset up everything because I use a laptop most of the time, but that wasn't strong enough to stream, so I got myself like a $400 like used computer and just like an old keyboard and laptop and or screen,
desktop, and it works. Nice. Yeah, and like exactly, like that's the thing is the fact that you're at a place where you're just like, I give me 15 minutes and I'm ready. I mean, that literally happened with us. When you're like, yeah, give me 15 minutes to fucking be ready, and I'm ready. Like, that's a nice place to be, where you can just feel like you can just do the setup you need to do, and you can just turn your fucking webcam on and turn on Streamlabs or OBS or whatever you use and just go. Because people,
and with my art making, like Twitch has been. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, people, I think it can be very intimidating, and it can be a lot to realize that people are gonna come along with you on the ride, and like they're here for you, you know, like they're obviously here to watch you make art. They're here to watch you, in my case, play games, but like at the end of the day, they are here for community. They're here to hang out. They're here for you. So like,
totally.
It's just
like I had someone come in and say like, "Oh yeah, like I don't do what you do, but you seem like a fun, nice person. So like, I'm gonna follow."
Yeah, and that's a literal exact reason why I had you on the show today, right? It's like, primarily speaking, I think a lot of people know that I worked / work in publishing, but I don't bring any kind of publishing or art making into my streams, right? Because I just actively don't do it right now. So my other interest is video games. I play video games. Let's watch me play video games. But like, here's this fucking incredible, amazing human and also just amazing artist that I know and adore dearly. Let's bring her on to the fucking show and like, of course, and have her
hard hands. It's a podcast. I'm doing hard hands.
Yes, yeah. For those listening, there's a fucking hard hands. But yeah, like it's a thing of I intrinsically trust this person, because I can fucking vet for her. Like, I know she's rad as hell. She's fun to watch. Like, let's bring these seemingly disparate communities and like smush them all into one. Because like that's what's really interesting and fun to me about Twitch.
Well, I want more overlap.
Exactly. That's, to me, that's the best part of Twitch.
It really frustrates me too, even in the art world, the way that like writing doesn't overlap with other art forms a lot of the time.
Yes.
Like sculpture and painting and performance and like everything is all connected, but then writing's over here.
I mean, honestly, even the other thing too, like I don't know if you've experienced this, but I very much experienced when I was starting out in the publishing scene, is even within writing, like the quote unquote fucking like page poets would look down on spoken word poets so much. And I'm just like, you both fucking write for a living, like stop being dickheads to each other. And it was very much the page poets looking down on the spoken word poets as if they were fucking beneath them.
Totally.
And then
which is also like, let's name it like a racial issue.
Yes, 1000%. It's 1000% a classist and racist fucking issue. Absolutely, 1000 fucking percent. And then the spoken word poets would like get their fucking hackles up and be like, "Go fuck yourself." And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, justifiably so. Because if you came into my fucking space and told me I ain't shit and my fucking page poetry is better than your spoken word, I'd be like, fuck off. Like, who are you? You know, like, and there's always this weird fucking infighting that I'm just like, what's the fucking point? Like, what do you, all you're trying to do at the end of the day.
And as someone who loves to perform my writing, like I don't do slam poetry, but
you can learn a fuck ton from watching them.
But I absolutely love to perform, and it's really important to me.
Yeah. And like, that's the other thing too, is fucking listen, you don't have to take writing advice from fucking spoken word artists if you don't want to, but take performance fucking like advice from them, because they know what the fuck they're doing. Like, yeah. And especially because like, yo, you, unless you're a best-selling author that's selling thousands of copies of books, generally speaking, the way that you are making the majority of your money as a writer in Canada is you are going to reading series and you are reading your work. You need to be engaging, or else what the fuck is the point? Like, you know? So
it's so frustrating when like I'll see someone, I'm like, oh, like now I know enough to like, when I hear someone read and I'm like, oh fuck, you're like really bad at reading, but this is good.
Yeah.
Or alternately, I can see through people who are really good at reading, but the
actual work is like, yeah, totally. I know exactly what you mean.
That was a great performance, but like, I'm not gonna buy that book.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you fucking mean. Absolutely. Yeah, it's that shit's important. Don't fucking be an exclusionary dick that's just like fucking spoken word poetry. Fuck off.
No.
Like, who are you?
I'm all about all genres crossing over, and like that's what I love on Twitch. Or like this totally is what Twitch is for as well. Like there's so much on Twitch, but in a kind of a sideways way. I'm a big fan of misusing technology, like using things differently or wrong. Like I do these series of knitted poems.
That's
not how you're supposed to knit, Jess.
That shit is like, so I fucking love that shit so much. I remember I can't remember the exact fair it was, but I remember when you came out with your knitted poems and you brought them to something, and I finally got to see them in person, and I was like, this is not poetry, but also fuck yeah, it is. Like, what? Why the fuck isn't it? Like, sure. And it was just, it was so fucking neat and cool to see that, and to see, like you said, like the breaking down of what you think is a convention of a thing, and just being like, no, let's fucking play with this. Let's fuck around with it.
Whatever. This is obviously made of twine, but I'm just gonna call it a poem, and you need to deal with that.
Because you
think
can.
About that.
Because who fucking cares? And yeah, that's the other thing about Twitch.
I mean, my favorite thing about poetry is just how low the stakes are.
Yes.
It's so freeing.
When people realize that, it goes a long way. It's real nice. But yeah, like that's the thing about Twitch.
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
One of my biggest pet peeves is just seeing people who take their tiny amount of success so seriously and try to push others down. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep.
You're a poet.
Yep.
Like, get your fucking priorities straight.
Yep. Like if you're, yeah, and I think I've always been a big proponent of this, is use your fucking platform to lift people up, dude. Don't fucking push other people down. Like, don't be a fucking dick. Like, it's really not hard.
Well,
but apparently for some people it is.
For you for doing that with your
Try.
podcast. And also, like, actually, that's something I super duper love about Twitch. It's so community based, and like rating is fucking amazing.
Oh, it's so fun.
I love that is a built-in part of the platform.
It's so fun. Yeah, that's the thing, and I think that I will throw some fucking shade at Twitch. And we already did with the tags thing earlier. I do think that if I had, I mean, I have a lot of criticisms of Twitch, but if I had a big like criticism of the community of Twitch, it's that Twitch does not do a great job as a service, like presenting how important and how amazing communities are. I think that what kind of happens is it goes, hey, here's a bunch of streamers that we know are going to make us a fuck ton of money. Let's do it. Let's highlight them. But like, it very much feels like, at least this is how I felt when I got onto Twitch and started like really taking streaming quote unquote seriously, is I very much felt like the onus was on me to find the community and then make the community, rather than like Twitch helping me discover a community. And that I feel like, like there definitely is almost like a responsibility in a way as a content creator and like a streamer to foster that community, right? Like I think that you can't just be in a fucking vacuum doing your own thing with a chat that sits there and not call it a community. It's a fucking community. But like I still think Twitch can do better to just help you discover communities way better than they have done before.
Well, in my experience, I just straight up asked.
Yeah,
I think Pro Mira was the first one I found. And I was like, hey, are there other printmakers on here or Risograph people that you know of? And that was the biggest way I like spread out and found people.
Right, exactly, and that's the other, and I will give them the credit. That's why
she just straight up recommended people.
Yeah, and I will give them credit. That's why rating is so great, right? Is that you do get that opportunity.
It's the best.
Yeah, you do get that opportunity to go here. I think you will really, really like this person. I'm going to fucking go forward, have fun, make new friends. Like that's great. That's really, really rad. And that type of shit is awesome. And like anytime that I can, at least for me personally, like anytime I can raid somebody and expose my community to a new thing, that's fucking rad. I fucking love that. Whether that's like art streams, whether that's just through like, like another queer, like a perfect example, a queer fucking streamer, because like, listen, Twitch is primarily straight white dudes, so to expose them to not more straight white dudes, that's real fucking great. Or if it's even just like, listen, I play a lot of this type of game. Let's fucking take you to this like rabbit hole of video games where they play a completely different type of game. You know, like that shit's really interesting to me.
Yeah. Totally. I love that. And then I've actually had people come into my stream and say, they'll just say hi. I'm like, oh, hi, new person. Like, how you doing? What are you up to? How'd you come here? And I've had multiple people say, I found you through browsing LGBTQ+, or I found you through browsing Papercraft, or whatever it is. I'm like, oh, that's sick. Cool.
Yeah, it's really the best feeling.
The tags do help.
They do help. The best feeling to me on Twitch is when it's not somebody you know in real life and they come in and they join and they follow you, and it's not so much that they follow you and you're like, oh cool, I got a new follow. It's when you see them return to subsequent streams and you're like, oh fuck yeah, this is so cool. Like that's such a rad yeah, that's such a rad fucking feeling. It's so cool.
That actually happened to me pretty much right away.
Nice.
Where this person, Rogue Lavender, who you probably have seen on stream, they haven't been around lately, but they were around a lot.
Yeah, I saw them when I first started.
And they're like, oh, I just found you on LGBTQ+ stream.
Nice.
And then we became like Twitch friends, and I've been on their stream, they've been on my stream, and yeah, they're the super sweetest.
Yeah, that shit is rad as hell when.
So I love it for that.
It just fucking, you're just like, cool.
Writing, unsurprisingly, can be super isolating.
Yep, it's true. It is correct. Yeah, but like, where do you? I guess to just kind of close it out. Where?
Yeah, I've got small monsters banging around in the background. Yeah, right. Now, so.
where do you kind of see?
Or if you can hear that.
No, luckily enough, I cannot. Where do you see your streams going in the, I guess, kind of immediate future as well as just like long term? You know, what do you want to do with Twitch? Other than obviously bring more fucking people in who like books and publishing onto Twitch and prove to them it's not so fucking scary. Yeah, right? Like, it's not that scary, guys. It's okay.
That's number one. I need to be posting more on Instagram and stuff and like sharing my community.
Right.
Trying to bridge those gaps, but I can't like make people do it.
It's hard.
I was doing a lot of the karaoke streams, and then Chris and I stopped drinking. So
I mean, that's fair.
It hasn't been as fun, I guess.
That's fair. No, I get it.
Karaoke kind of relies on alcohol.
On a certain sense of not giving a shit.
But we'll probably go back to that. We are also doing them as charity streams.
You are, yeah. You just did one.
The charity streams were a really fun aspect.
Yeah, that shit was really cool. You just did one really recently, right? For top surgery pillows.
It was about a month ago now, I guess.
That was the most recent charity stream, right? Yeah, that was cool as hell. Yeah, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah.
It's super fun. The way it works is just we sing songs and you can choose to request a song. Again, you don't have to pay to do it, right? But like if you want to make us sing a certain song, we'll do it.
And then all that shit goes
and we raise money. So we're raising money for people recovering from top surgery. Exactly.
Yeah, that shit was cool as hell.
But yeah, I'm kind of bouncing between different projects. I mean, what I do with my stream is not too long before stream, I look at my big shelf of supplies here and I'm like, okay, what half-finished project do I have?
What can I
work on?
Yeah, what's Twitch sitting around that I can just fuck around with?
Works for me because like it actually is getting me to Twitch is like doing Twitch streams is getting me to work on these things that have been sitting around half-finished.
Totally, yeah.
So that's really awesome. And then people who know shit about what I'm doing can give me suggestions, or I can ask you guys like, oh, what color would look better here? Trying to decide between two. And then of course when I'm working on books, like paid bookmaking projects, then I work on those on stream. That's what I was doing a ton when I first started streaming.
Yes.
But I haven't had as many paid gigs, so now I'm working on personal projects.
Right. But I
do want to go something in the very near future. I do want to go back down to the studio and show some more risograph printing because that stuff's really fun.
That stuff's cool as fuck. That's what I was about to just say. It's like that stuff kind of ebbs and flows, right? And it's not necessarily that.
Exactly.
Oh no, you're never gonna fucking go back to the studio again. It's just like that'll come when it comes, and then you'll do some more of that
exactly. Shit. And so I thought I was going to be like, I'm a bookmaking streamer, but
right.
it's kind of turning out I'm like a variety art streamer.
I was literally about to say, you're literally a fucking art variety streamer, which is cool, man. And like that's I think, again, like I said, that's the thing I love so much about Twitch, is that once you find your fucking people, you found your fucking people, and they will come along on the ride with you, and regardless of what you do, they're just like, fuck yeah, dude, ride or die, let's go. I'm gonna do it. And
I know, and that's what
great.
people have said to me in my stream. I'm like, I don't know what to do. What do you guys want to see? And they're like, we just want to see you do your thing.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I was like, that is so strange to me. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that you want to be
a really
here,
cool
like, and just
feeling.
hang out with me, and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, and like there is a.
What about you? What are you going to be doing?
That's a great question. So I have next week planned out. I'm gonna be doing Erica. I'm gonna be doing fucking Gree. I'm gonna be playing more Visage, because that's a spooky, terrible horror game that I fucking hate. I love it. I hate it. It's literally the scariest game of all time. And then Saturday, next Saturday is just like an open day. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. But yeah, I've been finding lately that I've kind of been switching up my mentality a little bit towards that of, oh right, people will kind of come along on the ride, and I don't need to be so worried about being like, I have to fucking play this game at this time, and like, perfect example. So I was playing through Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I was like, I'm gonna beat that whole fucking game on stream, and I still plan on it, but I don't necessarily feel anymore like I only have to play that game, you know? And like the podcast, at first I was like, oh no, should I do a podcast? And then I was like, wait a minute, I want to fucking do a podcast. Let's do a fucking podcast. Like, I don't only have to play video games. So yeah, it's been really nice.
And that's
to just
something I didn't even realize at first that was on Twitch.
Yeah, there's so many podcasts on Twitch.
But I will say, in terms of like having scheduled days, like for example,
that's important.
Fromighty, I can keep talking about him. Shout out. Like, there's certain days where I'm like, oh, I tune in Mondays because he's playing his like retro PlayStation games.
Totally.
So I like that.
That's
and then he's like playing this other game on this day, so I don't tune in that day because it's not my thing.
Right, and
so if you're a variety streamer, it makes sense.
And that's the thing I was gonna say is there isn't anything necessarily wrong with a set schedule. That's actually, I've said it multiple times on the podcast. That's so fucking important, is having a set schedule, because then people will know, oh, okay, it's this day, I'm gonna watch Jess, you know? Like, I know Thursday afternoons, Friday afternoons are the days you fucking stream. I'm in there. Like, I know to come in because it's expected. But what you stream is not necessarily the be all and end all. You don't need to be like, well, I have to fucking stream this because people expect it of me. Like, people are going to be there for a ride, you know?
Yeah, it was nice when I realized that I don't.
It takes a bit. It takes a little while, but you get there, and then it's real great. Because yeah.
I mean, yesterday was my first garbage fire stream.
I loved it.
You know what, guys?
I'm
gonna paint my nails.
Yep, and then
I painted my nails.
Then let's just look at Pokemon
on the Game
cards.
Boy for like half an hour.
Right.
And then we looked at Pokemon cards.
Also, we should clarify as well. It's not like you like fucking streamed fucking Tetris off of your computer, or you had a live feed of it.
No.
It was fucking over the shoulder fucking.
It was my hands holding the Game Boy.
Trying to frame the fucking Game Boy in frame. So it was, an over the shoulder shot of you playing fucking Tetris on the Game Boy Color. And then looking at Pokemon cards and being like, ooh, is this maybe worth $150? Is this? Oh, this one's bent.
Yeah, and
Fuck.
I had my boys. I had like you in Toronto looking at.
It was good times.
Looking up the value for me.
Honestly, listen,
so funny.
Sometimes the best streams are the ones that are just complete fucking shit shows. Like, those are so much fun. Those are so great. But I feel like this was not much of a shit show. I feel like we kept this on the rails.
We've been talking for like 3 hours.
I know, right? It's been so much fun.
And a half. Holy shit.
I know, right? Yeah, my podcasts end up going really fucking long. But thank you so much, Jess. I very much, I absolutely adore you as a writer, as a human, as a fucking just a beautiful fucking soul, and I really, really appreciate you coming on.
8 years.
That is legit nuts to think about. I did not realize we've known each other for that long. That's fucking bonkers.
And it's just through Twitch that we've really reconnected.
Yeah, right? Because you moved, and then I was fucking in Toronto, and we couldn't see each other at fucking shows because there are none. So like,
no. I guess the last time you had me at Pivot would be the last time
that I actually saw you in person. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. That was like nearly a
year and a half ago.
Yeah, that was nearly 2 years ago at this point, which is fucking bonkers to think about. Holy fuck, time is weird. Time is fucking weird, but nonetheless, I really, really appreciate you coming on because this was so much fun, and I love talking to you about this type of shit. It's really fun. It's dope as hell. Last thing before you go, my beautiful friend, where can people find you? What are you doing the next little while?
I'm going to be here on Twitch. I'm trying to incorporate my writing stuff too, I should have said. So by request, some of my subs, they they asked me to write or read poetry on stream. I don't think I could write poetry on stream.
Writing
I've been doing
a
couple little impromptu readings on stream.
Writing would be a lot. Well. I don't know if I could do writing on stream. That'd be too fucking much.
Yeah.
But
I talked about it with Chris, my partner, and he suggested, I'm like, I could do it if it was like, if I just didn't pay attention to chat, like if I didn't acknowledge the fact that I was on stream.
But I
could stream it. I would do that if people.
I still feel like it would feel really weird. It just would feel strange, at least for me personally. But yeah, fair enough. But yeah. So you'll be on fucking Twitch. I don't want to feel
inhibited when I'm writing. Sorry, I didn't answer your question.
No, that's okay.
So I'll be on Twitch Thursdays and Fridays.
Nice.
Thursdays and Fridays from 1 to 5 p.m. EDT. And you can also find me on Instagram. I post pretty often there, and I have been posting some like bits of poetry. At notyrmuse, same as my Twitch handle. Yeah. I have a website where you can find like any of the shit we've been talking about. You can find some of my like books and risograph examples of risograph things at jessicabebenek.art.
Nice.
And also my Etsy shop is Jessica Bebenek Studio, which you can also get through my website.
Cool.
Just go to the link tree. You get it all.
Yeah, I put the link tree in the chat. We'll also put the link tree in the YouTube description notes when this boy goes up on YouTube. We'll have the link tree up on there and everything. Thank you again, Jess, so much. I adore you. I absolutely love you. So have a good rest of the fucking have a good rest of the evening, you beautiful human.
Oh my god, I have to go rest because I gotta go play D&D for 4 hours.
Oh fuck yeah, you do. That's awesome. Nice. All right, get that fucking nap on.
We also talk a lot about D&D in my stream.
As you should. So if you're interested in bookmaking, D&D, just a fucking what else? Looking at old Pokemon cards from your childhood. You know, over the shoulder fucking Tetris.
Doing your nails,
all that type of shit.
Sometimes I do clothing alterations.
I was about to say, yep, like fucking making clothes. Bunch of weird, as you said, variety streaming of the art variety. Go check out Jess. You beautiful human. Have yourself a wonderful evening. Go take a nap. We're gonna end the Discord call and then we're gonna fucking end the stream. So have a wonderful night, evening, whatever it is there.
Bye.
Bye.